Celebration. Tanya, please.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads, please. God, we give you thanks for the family time which we were given over this past week's Thanksgiving holiday. We also thank you for your blessing over the deliberations which this council has conducted over the past year. However, we do ask for your comforting presence as we gather together mourn the tragic death of Sheriff's Deputy Eric Overall. We ask that you comfort his family and his co-workers in our substation as well. Now, as we begin this Christmas season, help us as a council to always keep your example in mind, that is, that we continue to help those who are less fortunate. We ask that you be with those in our community who are struggling financially, as well as with those whose health and job security are at risk. We ask all these things in your name to your glory. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please. Liz?
Rice. Here. Wetzel.
Here.
Ashman.
Here.
Skornica.
Here.
Sleva.
Here.
Will.
Here. You've been provided an agenda for the meeting tonight. Any additions or corrections to that agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, I will make a change to the agenda under new business F. I move to delete the DDA board member appointment item. The DDA director has asked that we wait until next month to do that because he would like to provide us all with profiles of the candidates. So I think that that's something that we could assist him in doing. So that then means that the parade permits are moved up to item F. Oakland County ARC GIS Services is moved to item G, and the calendar is moved to item H. I would also like to add a item under public comment at the end of our agenda. That should be item 15. And then item 16, I'm adding closed session to discuss interim manager continuation proposal. That makes then adjournment item 17. Any questions? Want me to repeat
Would the
that?
adjournment be 17, because 16 would be the closed session, or no?
Yes.
Okay, you said 16, but 17, right?
The closed session is 16, adjournment is
Okay,
17.
great.
So I'll amend my motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
All those in favor of the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. We have council minutes. The special meeting of October 18. and the regular meeting of October 23. We'll do these separately. I'll move to accept the minutes of the October 18 special meeting as presented.
Second it.
Motion by Councilman Wills, supported by Councilman Sleva to approve the special meeting minutes from October 18 as presented. Any other discussion? Hearing none.
I
Yes,
just have a
question.
question. I guess I would like to strike on page 2, this, the third or fourth paragraph, only from the perspective that this was an interview process and maybe the specific questions or whatnot should not be in there. Page 2,
The
third and fourth
one-
paragraph, to be more generalized than specific
Okay.
regarding the interview.
The paragraph starting with she,
Yes,
and then Ms.,
yes.
okay? That's fine with me. Anyone
Yes.
else have a? I'll amend my motion to accept as amended, the minutes as amended. Karen, you approve that as well?
Yes, I support that.
We have amended minutes for the special meeting from October 18 to approve. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. The minutes are approved. We have the minutes for the regular meeting of October 23. Oh, I'm sorry, tab. We got here? That's right. That was just handed out. Okay.
I make a motion to approve the minutes dated October 23rd, 2017.
Support.
I just have a small correction. Page 3, just trustee Sleva presented information on the number of chickens allowed in 6 local cities or villages. So,
Page 3.
Are we at
yeah,
the
you
bottom
can
of
have my
page 3?
copy.
Where are we
Yeah,
at?
at the bottom of page 3, trustee Sleva presented information on, it just said, should say, the number of chickens allowed in 6 local cities or villages.
Rather than information in the city of Fenton?
Yeah, I didn't really discuss any ordinances. I just discussed how many chickens people, they were allowing.
Okay. Do you have that, Liz?
Yep.
Oh, I have it on page 4. That's why these aren't the same copy of the minutes.
I handed out an updated copy. There should have been.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
Just a small editorial on page 2 of the, what is that? TOB 2, what does that say at the top?
Tam. Tam.
Tab 2.
Okay. Under page 2, my comments, the Small Business Saturday was actually November 20, Fifth, yeah. 5th, yeah. After the fact, but just for the record. Okay.
Oh, good. Did you have another one, Kelly?
No, I didn't see this,
I
could
didn't
have
wanna
got it
jump
tonight,
ahead
so
either.
I was just seeing if there was anything real quick. I don't know what was changed, if anything major.
Okay, so again, who made that motion?
I
You
did.
did?
Do you want me to go ahead?
Well, you already made the motion, right?
Right,
Well,
but
we'll make
she's
sure that.
perusing
I was
those,
just
so
looking.
just wanted to-
Oh, you're still looking?
I was, yeah, just seeing if there was anything else.
I thought you said something on page 4, that's why I was kind of reading it.
Oh, because that's where.
So it was on the original
Yeah,
copy.
On the original.
Gotcha. I make a motion to approve the amended minutes of October 23rd, 2017.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Bryce, supported by Councilman Eschman to approve the amended minutes of the regular meeting from October 23, 2017. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. The minutes are received and accepted
Is amended.
as amended. Tear those up. Okay. We have the acceptance items. Treasurer's report. Moving on to disbursements. Item 4. Liz, do you recall who that screening was?
That would be for Steve Drennan.
I'm sorry, his last name?
Drennan, D-R-I-N-N-O-N.
Could you just send us an email of the names of the 2 new employees?
Yes.
That would be great, thanks.
Number 17, just a typo, it's Consumers Energy.
And would you email us when you get a chance with respect to item 8?
Yeah.
I would like to know the accumulated total thus far for our legal fees for 144 South Street,
Yes.
if you would.
Yep.
And any information on an update on
I was
that?
going to say, yes, when will there be an update?
I know,
Right.
but, I mean.
I did talk with our attorney last week, and he indicated that they're in a discovery stage at Circuit Court still.
I have a question on item number 22 from bridge inspection from Row Engineering. Is that the Wall Street Bridge, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Or is
Does
that
say
more
with
than,
an S.
that all bridges?
That would be 3 bridges. I
All
believe.
all 3 bridges? No.
Oh, because I was going to say that was pretty much for the bridge.
So in addition to that, I did have a question on that. Is there a written report on that? Is it a visual inspection? Do they take measurements? Do they give us a report for that?
I haven't received anything, but I can certainly reach out to Row and find out what
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we're supposed to get
Yeah.
from them.
I'm trying to recall when they gave us that overall, I think one is a visual, the first time, if I recall, like in the first year, and then I'm not sure, what years all these were done, but, yeah. Yeah, so, okay, so we'll follow up.
And item 39, the workers' compensation premium, is that, Beth, is that our annual estimated premium in advance?
No.
That's the audit?
It is additional. We get billed with an estimated.
Correct.
payment.
Right.
And then after our year end is done, then we do an actual.
An audit, yes.
And then there's a difference. Either we get a refund or we have to pay more.
So this was the additional due to the audit?
No, for the unemployment
Was there,
insurance.
Well, this is workers' compensation. This is,
Right. Our workman's compensation
Insurance, it says premium, the insurance.
So you're saying it went up? And is that because we had some claims?
No, it went up because our payroll went up.
Okay.
From what I estimated,
I see.
you know.
Okay.
yeah,
So sometimes what they do is come along and bump up this year's estimate based upon last year's audit. If last year's audit was low, they'll make us bump up the future year as well. Is that what they did?
No,
No.
I do a payroll audit
Right,
and I send it to them.
okay.
And then they, on that estimate, they bill us.
Okay.
Well, based,
And then when we got an actual amount, actual figures, then I do another one, and and then, if it comes out lower, we get a refund. If not, pay goes up.
Right, I understand.
so this increase of 2769 was because our payroll increased?
Yes.
Could you follow up and let us know what our payroll increased?
Well, we had a couple more managers, we had
Right, but that was
a
just,
couple more clerks, we had more in the building inspection.
if you could just follow up with an email, that would be good.
So you want a copy of,
Well, I mean, because we had different managers, it was across the board, it was a continuation. We didn't have like overlap, so I just wonder how much our payroll increased for that to cause a, nearly $2,800 premium difference.
I'll just send you what the estimate was, and then what.
Actually, our
what the
premiums,
actual-
actually, our audited premium should go down because we didn't have the full payroll on those particular managers. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, if you could.
Okay, yeah. I'll take a
Just give
peek.
us an
I'll take a peek
information
at
we
it.
can-
Okay.
Question on number 41. Does that get reported on the employee's W-2? What?
For part of payment.
Okay, we have to discuss that, because it's supposed to be. Okay. As well as the stipends too, the employee stipend, manager stipends, we have to fix that.
I'll clean that up.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we pay our disbursements totaling $34,567.35 as presented.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Eschman, supported by Councilman Butsu. Pay our bills in the amount of $34,567.35. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Liz.
Scarnafo?
Yes.
Studo?
Yes.
Wills?
Yes.
Bryce?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Eshman?
Yes.
Motion is carried. At this point in time, we'll enter a period of, for a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive public input on acceptance and allocation of the CDBG monies, and this is for program year 2018. The amount of the grants this year, or for that particular fiscal year coming up, is $6,000. In the past, we have allowed these funds to be used, or given these, designated these funds, do you recall exactly?
Emergency, public services, emergency services.
Oh, so-
Public services, it's got to be that designation. And then anybody in those, in that particular category would apply for those funds.
Correct,
We couldn't be more specific.
correct.
Right, okay. We'd like to be, but we can't be, at least for now.
But we are specific later on as to how we apply
Where it's
those dollars.
delegated.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, any input from the public?
We did have a very helpful suggestion from the fire department who suggested investing some of the money in AEDs for the village office and the Old Town Hall. I did put that forth to Carla Spradlin, our point person on that, and she said we could not do it because it would be putting money towards something that we don't already have. You can replace something you have or upgrade something you already have as far as the building goes. But after talking to Chief Quapis, he thought that because we hold public meetings in our building and at Old Town Hall, that we could invest the money that way. I have not been able to get a hold of Carla to verify that yes, that is accurate or not, so.
I would think it's a public purpose, so therefore, based on the rules and procedures for proper and improper expenditures, I would think that that would fit a proper expenditure and be allowed, but unless CDBG, yeah.
But again, that would be a specific beneficiary that the funds could be used for. We don't have to determine that now for 2018. We're just approving this to be used for the general specific reason.
Well, you would be right. That is
Right.
correct.
And later on,
But
we
then
can
don't
find that
later
out in the
we
meantime.
designate where those dollars will go later in the.
That's a different fiscal year.
In May.
Mhm.
Okay, okay,
This is for 2018.
Right.
18.
got it.
On the bid tabulation form that we just received, it says the bid was received May 18th of 2018, not 17.
Oh, okay. Yes, I will
In the
check.
comments?
That, yeah, not to confuse you even further, we are working on 3 separate program years with CDBG.
Yeah, because I was going back and forth, and like one, it's 6,000, another year it was increased to 8, and then it was back to 6.
Correct.
So what year is it actually 8? I thought 2018 was actually the 8, according to the contract.
No. The program year 2017, which in the administrative notes, we signed the subrecipient agreement for it, is $8,000. 2016 and 2018 are $6,000.
So this one says 2,000,
That's for
or
program.
6,000.
That's for program year 2016.
Okay. So we're 17.
17 is just in your administrative update.
Okay. That's my confusion.
Okay, so the public hearing has been opened, and now it's going to be closed. We received no input from the public otherwise. So then, having held a public hearing, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application and resolution allocating program year 2018 CDBG funds in the amount of $6,000 to, it's blank,
Public services,
public services. Thank you.
and then I believe you have to designate either emergency services or the secondary part of it. Or I can find.
Do we have
out.
to be that specific, or can we just leave it
You
open-ended?
can leave it open-ended. and I
Public
can-
services?
I will verify with Carla in the morning that we've done it properly.
And then you're going to get further clarification on Chief Quappis's
Correct,
specific request.
correct.
Would it be also an option to ask her if we update and replace ones that we currently have, we could then move the old ones to other areas that do not have them?
I would be happy to ask for that.
That's true.
Do we actually
Support.
have some now?
We do not.
I didn't think so.
One of our
Is there any
options
in here?
would be to assist the senior center.
Well, does the senior center have them now, an AED?
No, does not.
So that would be one of our options, would be to purchase one for the senior center.
It's on my application for 2018.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 'cause the-
Okay.
No, that's-
When we spoke, I should probably go up there. Carla had come into the
This is
fire
Chief
department.
Quapis.
Sorry. Carla had come to the fire department, and we had a meeting with Candy, as well as CDBG, to discuss what our options were. And she recommended at that time that if you have a public meeting spot where the public can meet, or an election poll, that she thought AED would be an appropriate project for those funds. So that's when I mentioned it to Liz, that hey, this might be a really good idea. I know that the town hall does not have one. It's used by a lot of different entities, agencies, service groups, as well as it being a polling location. And the village office is the same way.
Old Town Hall's not a polling agent anymore.
It's not? Oh, I was wrong. So, it was when I remembered it, when she changed it on me. But might have to go back to that, right? No? Okay, good. I'm trying.
Thank you, Chief.
Did anybody support that?
I did.
Nope.
Okay.
No. You did?
Because I kind of snuck that in, didn't I?
The motion by Councilman Eschman, supported by Councilman Skornica, to approve the application and resolution allocating program year 2018 CDBG monies, funds in the amount of $6,000 to public services. With the definition to be further clarified, right?
Correct.
Okay. I don't know if that needs a roll call or not. It's actually just an allocation of the funds. We don't need a roll call. All those in favor of the motion as made and seconded, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is passed. We have public comments on agenda items. If you want to make a comment on items that are on the agenda, please rise and come to the podium and state your name and address, and then we'll hear what you have to say. Oh,
I'm Candy Allen, 1905 State Park Road, Ortonville, Michigan. And I probably should have interrupted you prior, but when we had a public hearing for the CDBG, a motion needs to be made to open the public hearing and supported. And then if you don't get any input from the public, then someone makes a motion to close it. And that's all that you have to do. What you did tonight is your second step. I just don't want you in trouble with Carla. Okay. Well, that's what I have to do, so maybe it is
I think for
different.
public comment, I think we do have to go in, because we've always
But-
had 2 meetings at the time. Yeah.
I just want to give you my 2 cents.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
No, I
think-
appreciate that.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, Wayne,
No, that was my fault, because I told them we didn't have to do a
Oh,
motion to go
okay.
into public hearing, because that's
But
what I was told.
by Wayne requesting go into a public hearing, I would say that would be the motion if you wanted to look at it
so
that way. I mean,
let's go back in, and I'll make a motion to go into a public hearing,
Support?
and it's supported by Councilman Tanya. All those in favor of doing so, please say aye.
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 Okay, and hearing no other comments from the public, I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Support?
So we have a motion by Councilman Wills, supported by Councilman Bryce. All those in favor of the closure of the public hearing, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Andy? So So again, we have no public comments on other agenda items at this point. Items from the trustees. Karen, anything?
Yeah, I went to the Ortonville Community Historical Society meeting in November 7th. And basically, I'm just going to reiterate what you were always already talking about tonight, and that is Christmas in the village, and the parade begins at 3 o'clock. So I hope everybody will come out to that parade. And then after the parade, we're going to have hot chocolate and Santa Claus at the old mill. So please stop by for a cup of hot chocolate. And this is December 2nd, this Saturday. So it's coming right upon us.
Mark?
Fire Authority Board met on November 5th, and we discussed quite a few things, and I'm glad the chief is here. So when we get to new business, there are 4 items that we're going to go in detail a little bit about. So I'll just wait
Good.
for the chief.
Thank you.
I'm going to, I'm assuming that when, a couple months ago when I said about the Holland Convention, it's like to go out to the website and retrieve some of this information. I'm not sure if any of you had the opportunity to do so, but here is one of the presentations I'll pass to Liz and she can copy it and give it all to you. This particular one is the Michigan Municipal Expenditures, and it defines how we can legally and lawfully spend taxpayer money. And I think that that's appropriate based on some of the disbursements that we get requests for and how there should be or should not be paid. So, pass this out. Then you can just give it back to me, Liz.
And from our prior discussion, Colleen, there are a couple of areas that we need to address.
There are. Mhm.
Specifically.
Yes, there are.
None of them major, just that we need to clean them up a little.
Correct.
Okay.
Me? I do not have anything for the Recreation Committee update. I do want to take a quick moment to thank Liz and Beth, though, for everything that they've been doing with this manager search. They've been a little inundated, and we appreciate everything that you ladies do outside your comfort zone. And all I can think of is the other duties assigned on your job description. Thanks. We appreciate it. So.
Yes.
And then I just have just a brief comment on the Personnel Committee. We continue to search for a village manager. The previous candidates were so-so. We've decided as a committee, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tanya and Colleen, that we were going to repost after the holidays to give it a rest there. And then I know maybe we've got some additional thoughts maybe later on we're going to be talking about, but the search does continue.
Comments that I have, just a further update and a request from our friends at the DDA. This, again, as Karen Sleva, Councilman Sleva mentioned earlier, the Christmas in the Village is this Saturday. There is a need for volunteers. So if you at home would like to help, please call the DDA offices, which can be reached through the village offices. We'll be passing out little small things like passing out flyers. I'm going to be helping at the fire hall and back up just in case there is a fire run or a medical emergency, which there's going to be a marshmallow roast that's going to be conducted by the firefighters, as I understand it. So if they get called out on a run, an emergency run, then they're going to need some backup. So I'm going to be there learning how to roast marshmallows. So hopefully I won't have to go on duty. So by all means, if you're able to attend this Saturday, it's going to be a wonderful time. We have Santa Claus coming from last year, and he and Mrs. Claus did a wonderful, wonderful job. And we have many, many other activities. So please bring your children, bring your grandchildren, friends, and neighbors. Thank you. Item 11 on our agenda, we have some discussion items. Item A is Lieutenant Glover, Oakland County Sheriff's Office. I do want to thank Lieutenant Glover for being here tonight, especially. This is especially a trying time for him and his substation, as those of you have no doubt read or heard. I can offer only our deepest sympathy and our condolences to you and your fellow officers.
Thank you.
And at this sad time. When Lieutenant Glover and I talked a week ago, obviously the issue with Officer Overall had not occurred. We were basically talking about improving lines of communication at that time as it related to active shooters and things of this nature. So, you know, Lieutenant Glover did want to come and share with us some items and some issues, and hopefully we can do that in a very quick manner so he doesn't have to take any more of his day. And I know that he's been down at the visitation, so I do thank you for coming
Thanks.
very, very much.
Thank you.
So, do you have any pearls of wisdom that?
Well, I can, I mean, to start off with, I mean, as far as the lines of communication, first of all, I was out of town, and when you're in my position, as it has been even the last couple of days, that phone blows up and rings off the hook, and it was actually my mistake of not getting a hold of Wayne on that day. I was out of town. My cell phone service kind of came in and out, but I was on the phone from the time that dispatch contacted me, told me about the shooting, and I was on my phone until 3 o'clock in the morning from that time, and the entire next day. And I'm telling you, it was nonstop. And just like the incident we just had, things slip your mind. And be honest with you, I know how important that shooting was to the village, but I've been part of things far worse. And that case was a directed shooting. It was not an active shooter. It was a domestic, and I've been part of hundreds of those, and including ones where somebody has been shot. That incident kind of grew legs because of the fact that it was a Wednesday, and that person had not been taken into custody yet. And Wednesday is a training day for us. And when I worked undercover, on Wednesdays we trained with multiple units, and on that day, the fugitive team, which was a team that I was part of, was training with the U.S. Marshals as well as the Border Patrol. Our SWAT was in training. Our K-9 unit was in training. So you got 10 times the manpower that showed up to that situation than if it would have been a homicide. So that's just the way that it worked. It was a Wednesday, and that was a day where everybody was in training, and everybody said, let's go do what we have to get this guy into custody. I know it doesn't mean much to you guys, but I mean, I had some Pontiac guys contact me and said, my God, we've never seen that much manpower for a major homicide, and I'm talking about a case where multiple people have been shot and killed. And to be honest with you, that case was a big deal, and I know it was to the residents because somebody was on the loose. But for me personally, it was not that big of a case because of the fact that it was a directed shooting. Now, if that would have been a situation where this was a random shooter where somebody was going from house to house just targeting people, absolutely, that's a whole different deal. But we knew who this guy was. We've had multiple issues with him. And I think, I've been asked quite a bit, did I think it was a lot of overkill for manpower-wise? In a lot of ways, yes, but I'm not so sure that there's ever enough overkill with manpower, to be honest with you. I think the manpower situation forced that guy to hunker down right away. The night of the incident, we had 35 to 40 cars up here, and that was just township, extra patrol cars that were sent here. And, I mean, we had every substation in the county that had sent manpower. And then the next day, we had 45 cars up here, and then add the SWAT team. And which brings me to another question. A lot of people saw the SWAT team. Well, The SWAT team is very useful when somebody barricades themselves in. We don't send our patrolmen in on most instances unless they're chasing them. And the SWAT team was here in case he barricaded himself into another home or took somebody a hostage. That's why they were up here. And it's a little bit different situation up here too, because you know, just about every home that we went to searching, every homeowner was armed. So it brings another element to it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it was major. I did have contact with Dr. Outlaw that night. It was made early on, the decision to shut down the school because we didn't want kids on the loose, you know, walking around and you know, hear SWAT guys and you know, armed guys all over the place. But as far as the lack of communication, that was my fault for not contacting Wayne ahead of time. But like I said, this was not an active shooter. This was a targeted shooting. I've been involved in both, and there's a big difference.
So that difference has to be with the fact that there's random targets.
Absolutely. I mean, we have shootings. I mean, amongst our substations, and I'll use Pontiac as an example. We have multiple shootings every night, every day. We have shootings. So, but they're often targeted shootings, and I've been involved in hundreds of those searches and things. And in this case, and I'm not minimizing what happened, but this wasn't something where we knew this person was running to another home to you know, just randomly looking for targets. And on the night of the incident, we didn't know until the next day that he had thrown the gun away and the phone. He threw it into a bush outside the complex, but it was found during daylight by our canine unit. But that doesn't change the fact, because we still don't know if he's armed. I mean, he could have had multiple weapons, you know, as it usually is the case today. So, but as far as the line of communication, that was my mistake. Absolutely, I'll own up to that, for sure.
You're forgiven.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I mean, you guys, you have no idea how much when something like this happens. My phone rings off the hook. I mean, there's nonstop. I've been on the phone my phone hasn't stopped. I came out of a funeral and I've got 39 phone calls. And it's my own coworkers that know what I'm doing. So it's just the way it is.
Well, again, thank you.
All right. And we'll work on the communication. I mean, sir, you guys, I've drafted active shooter policies for schools. I've done them. I did one recently for Our Lady of the Lakes High School, and it deals with how to deal with trespassers, active shooters. I mean, just about everything. I mean, it's something we'll have to talk about at another date, but because I'm assuming that you don't have a policy as to how to deal with that. I thought that I was in communication with Supervisor Thurman. I thought she did a great job, you know, of basically locking down the building. I would never have recommended that the entire village lock down on that day, because of the situation. But that's not my decision to make. That's the business owner's decision to make, and if that's what the decision is, then that's what it is. But in my personal experience, I would not have shut down everything in town over this specific shooting. So, but that's your decision, not mine.
Hindsight's always 20/20.
It is, and to be honest with you, I think you're always better off taking the safer avenue. I mean, because if you don't, and it's like the manpower issue, if we don't bring enough manpower up here and something does happen, then we've got to answer to that. So it makes a difference. I mean, this village had a response that I have not seen in my 30 years in law enforcement. And that's no joke. I mean, I'd never seen that kind of response, manpower, for a targeted shooting, basically a domestic. So
I thought it was too, but I thought, well, maybe they're not telling us everything.
no, it really was the fact that it fell on a Wednesday, and all of our units were actively training with other agencies, and that's kind of why.
I have one question. Will they send us a bill?
No. No. Yeah. It was, you know, I mean, the homeowner out there, he did a fantastic job. It's not what I would have recommended. I would have recommended that he called 911, but he did what he thought was right, and it worked out. So,
Good.
Hats off to him.
Okay. Any other questions for Lieutenant Glover? Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Appreciate your
Yep.
coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Luminaries in the village, a discussion item. Thanks again.
I'll take that. in the past, the village council has been, let's say, volunteered to assemble the luminaries and then distribute them, and then the residents light them Christmas Eve. And with Christmas falling on Monday, right, Monday this year?
Yeah, Christmas Eve,
So
Sunday.
Christmas Eve, Sunday. And because the interim manager situation, I was just throwing out the possibility of maybe assembling them early rather than tying up the entire weekend, so assembling them Saturday and then distributing Sunday. I have no problem leading the project and making sure that they get assembled and distributed. However, I can't, for my own personal Christmas, do it that Sunday. So I was just wondering, could we do it Friday and then distribute them Saturday and leave them for residents for Sunday, or for Monday? Got those days right?
Put 'em out one day
Put them out
earlier.
one day early. If not, then, somebody else would need to step up and take the lead on the project. But I have no problem taking the lead, but I cannot do it for the Monday distribution, Sunday distribution.
So the single most thing that comes to mind then would we be able to get the volunteers to assemble on Friday?
Well, that's why we
right?
would need to discuss so that we could get the volunteers to get them assembled. I know that in the past, it, works really well. You get a production line and everybody knows what they're doing. However, if you get too many people in there, it's too much. There's, it's just a nice handful of people to make sure that things go well and get on the plywood and trailers and whatnot. So I don't know what everybody else thinks. Somebody else can, take it on and do it Saturday and Sunday, then that's great.
So the issue is distributing them regardless of when we assemble them. The issue is distributing them on Sunday.
On
You're not
Saturday,
available.
on Sunday.
You're not available to distribute them on Sunday. You and your family.
Right.
And-
What about your trailer?
I'll have to follow up on that. Oh, so you just want me for my trailer?
I mean, we'll miss you.
I know, because it's like we do, two main, I do have to check on that.
Okay.
I do want to comment, though, the success of distributing them. We get up early in the morning. It's a morning project. To distribute them on a Saturday morning versus a Sunday morning when everybody's preparing, I would hopefully go to church. It would make sense that we do them Saturday morning as opposed to Sunday morning, from that perspective. And I would be able to support Saturday morning, but not Sunday morning.
As could I. My only concern is that twofold. One, if the weather's severe, they run the risk of being destroyed.
Bite your tongue.
Bite your tongue. Yeah, and the other thing is that how do we stop the residents from lighting them Saturday night?
Well, the citizen.
Okay, we're going to put them out in front of your house, but don't
No.
light them for a day.
Right, well, and that's one of the reasons why to have this public discussion, so that we can inform the residents that they're going to be distributed early. Don't light them until Christmas Eve, as we've always done in the past. It's just to talk about it so that, they're not surprised and think, oh, they're out here, I need to light them. But, so a couple things. One, we do it business as usual, or two, we just move them up a day.
And traditionally, I think the residents know we light them on Christmas Eve as opposed to the day before, so I think.
But if we're confused about when to distribute them, they're going to be just as confused
Well,
about when
I'm-
to light them.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
if we're
just- it's
saying
Christmas
Saturday
Eve, it's
instead of
always
Sunday,
Christmas Eve.
But then why would we change from Sunday? Because, you know what I'm saying? It's automatically going to cause a cycle of an issue.
We're not in public comments.
It's okay.
But could we do like right after church? It doesn't have to be in the morning. If we're already having people out there go to church, they come, they do it. I mean, that's a possibility.
You have a comment?
Cordy McLaren, you obviously all know me, but I would just like to offer to make a few phone calls and to see if I can rustle up some individuals to deliver on Sunday before any concrete decision is made. I've got some volunteers in the area, and I just would like the opportunity to talk to them before you guys make a decision not to put them out on Sunday as per convenience, just to avoid some of the confusion, if you would like for that.
Well, I
Okay.
think we do have volunteers.
No, I understand that, but if you're unable on Sunday, and, you know, maybe I could find you somebody
It's
that
really, it's
is
not the
available on
volunteer
Sunday.
issue, it's about one of us on council, or two of us to lead the project is what it.
Sure,
It's not
I
a
un-
volunteer issue,
I
it's about
understand.
who can lead to get it done and how that fits in, so.
And it's as
Just
much as I hate to say it.
thought I'd make the offer.
We have to have the equipment to.
Right.
We have to have the equipment
Right,
too. Yeah.
right.
So, thank you, Courtney.
So,
My offer to
Thank
find
you.
someone
Yeah.
with a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did speak to the lady who gets the key every Monday for the Boy Scouts this morning, or this afternoon, and she did indicate to me that if we need it, there is a possibility that we can use her husband's trailer on Sunday morning. So I just need to follow up with her next week to let her know if we do need to use it.
Okay. So we have some options and some ideas, so could you keep us all in the loop and find out if Courtney could report into you, and then you can hear from the scouts, the resource there,
Yep.
and then see what we can do, and take it from there. So, and I do appreciate Colleen and her family. It's been several years since that she's been doing this, spearheading it, and I do understand the issue all too well with having Christmas Eve on a Sunday, and all the church responsibilities and desires with family. So we'll work through it. So thank you, Colleen. Okay, item 12 on our agenda is village administrative updates.
Do you just want to read through these, or?
Well, here's where you see the different years for the different activities.
Correct.
We got the 2017 Community Development Block Grant CDBG fiscal year addressed here.
And that looks like it goes up by a couple $1,000 from 6 to 8.
Right, and the
And then-
reason for that was, in that program year in particular, I guess Oakland County holds 1/3 back for home improvement. And that particular year, they just put all of the money into the fund, and so our funding went up by $2,000 for that year alone. So,
Are you doing one by one, or are we just doing the whole thing? Are you gonna move on, or should I just?
No, we can just,
So.
are there any questions or comments about the first item then? So upon receipt of the agreement, Oakland County will send us a release letter of funds.
Should these have been spelled out in the agenda of what these are? You know, so 12, it just says village administrative updates, but it should have 12A, CDBG, B, the local road improvement matching funds, scrap tire.
Well, for the next time around perhaps, but
Otherwise, it's like, you know, it's not identified of what it is. Okay. I would make that suggestion. Okay.
now this is the next item, which is the 2017 Local Road Improvement Matching Fund Pilot Program from the county. Now, this is the county matching fund. And we used our monies to do the sealing, the crack sealing with the hot tar
correct.
basically on Mill Street, and was it all on Mill Street, or was there some South
No,
Street too?
It was Mill and South, and I'm sure there was probably a little bit more than that. But I guess the point of the update was that we've completed that program, we've received our money from the county, we've reported back to the county, and that we're closed, everything's all set with that.
The project is completed.
Correct.
So if, in fact, this was the first time, this was a pilot program, so if, in fact, it happens again next year, it looks like our DPW director, Bob Hoxwell, indicates that he would definitely want to do it again.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Next item, 2018 scrap tire grant application.
This is the repeat of the 2017 tire grant application?
Actually, they're separate.
Is it
Yeah,
separate?
they are
Totally separate. Totally separate. So the 2007, this is a recap, the 2017 scrap tire grant application process is still active and still on the table. The reason why we did not proceed was that the bid, because of the time of the year, being close to the fall season and the end of cold weather season, we only had one active bidder, as a reminder, and that bid was way out of line, so we decided not to do it. And our engineers indicated that when we rebid in the spring, that projection, that bid will be back where we originally anticipated it to be. So that is going to happen, and that's a separate project that will continue, and that was for the resurfacing of the south side of Cedar Street from Ball down to Mill, and then also Schoolhouse Street. So those two streets are still on the table. They were pushed back because of weather issues and the fact that the bid was out of line because of that. So 2018 is a totally separate item, which I believe John Lyons had been looking along with our DPW director, and they were using that program that they have, the rating schedule based upon the condition of the streets that are available for these types of projects. They had earmarked Davis Alley and also Edward Streets for resurfacing. Is that your understanding as well? Okay.
When you said, are they picking projects that kind of fit the dollar amount? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they're picking the projects by order of priority. If you remember, all the streets were evaluated on a 1 to 10 basis. So the worse the condition, the higher the priority was given. And that's our understanding of how that process.
So where does Mill Street fall on that priority list? Only because I do
don't know.
know it's.
Bob's not here.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be here.
I brought the CIP.
We don't have a CIP, other than the one that
Yeah,
David Trent put together.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember he did put something together in ranking, and I thought Mill Street was right up there as well, where it's just.
And again,
falling apart, but-
it may be.
I mean-
It may be.
Did anyone want to see it or not? I can pull it out here.
It's resurfacing Davis or it's Davis or Edwards
It's and.
Ranger. It's
And.
and, so they're gonna do, I thought it was or. I thought I read someplace else. It's Davis, I don't know the other one, Davis and,
And this is an update
Or
too, so.
Edward.
This is
Yeah.
just an
I mean,
update.
it's an
Nothing's been
update.
finalized, so.
Okay.
So there remains questions,
Mhm.
so we can revisit that again, just kind of an update, so that you're aware.
That's fine.
So I would like to see that CIP that you have there from
Oh, okay.
David Trent, but
I didn't know.
it could be later on, after the meeting.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you, Karen.
I just carry it
Thank
with
you for
me.
bringing that. Next item is a Mount Echoes
Mountain
Dulcimer
Echoes.
Troop.
Mountain Echoes,
Mount Echoes.
where the E is.
So they're requesting the use of the Old Town Hall every Wednesday.
Well,
Wait a minute.
they already have it on Wednesdays. The Dulcimers and the Mountain Echoes already have it on
Second
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Well,
During the
I know that the
day.
Lions Club meets there. on
During the day, they have.
Oh,
it.
during the day.
They're asking for the second Wednesday of each month in the evening. And I went through the calendar with her, and it doesn't look like anything is on the calendar for the second Wednesday of the month.
Lions meets on the second and fourth Wednesday.
The second and fourth?
Mhm.
Okay.
And we've historically had it booked for the second and fourth.
Okay. Well, it doesn't have to be the second Wednesday.
Okay.
I guess, what she's looking for is one night a month, one evening a month. They would like to open it up for an open jam session where anybody can come in and play any type of instrument. People can come in and listen, that type of thing. For 2 hours, 6 to 8 p.m. It would just be finding an evening during the month that would work for everyone. If,
Well, we do have a procedure in place, and the procedure is that if they're a village resident, then there is not a charge, as I recall, right? But if they are a village resident, there is no charge,
Only if they're
No.
nonprofit.
if they're nonprofit.
they are nonprofit.
And I was going to say a little background on them. They do free concerts for the schools, they do free concerts for the library, they do a lot of outreach. They've played for the veterans, at the Veterans Memorial. They are very highly community-driven. They played at the senior center for free. They are in no way for profit. They don't get paid at anywhere that I know of in a community event. Now, they may go elsewhere and they may play, and I don't want to speak for them, but our community, they have played for free at many, many, many events.
Is that normal to be able to book a whole year? Do we typically book out that far, or?
We do on a seasonal basis. As I indicate, the Lions Club has been using it. They don't meet in the summers, but during the school year, they meet
Or the Boy Scouts. Or
Boy Scouts
yeah,
do
They
on
can
a-
plan their school year.
on a
their
regular
year.
basis, yeah.
I mean, it's one day a month.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with it myself. Anyone else? Okay. We just need to double check the schedules.
Okay.
And the public is welcome to, and I think that's a big
Correct.
difference. It's not a private meeting. It's a,
So then, that being the case, then would we post that then, just for the public's knowledge that that's occurring somewhere?
I think they'll have it in the paper, like when they did the front porch jams all summer, they would put them in the paper.
Okay.
The next item, Planning Commission. Some members of the Planning Commission are interested in publications and training sessions, seminars. They're wanting to know, and there is a budget for planning in the amount of $500. Question is, do they need to seek council approval prior to attending a seminar or purchasing a publication?
No?
I don't, in their budget, or is it in our?
But it's in our budget.
It's in ours.
Yeah,
They
so.
don't have a budget.
So, I guess my point, I think it's great that people are seeking out the training, but it seems to me that council should be part of that training as well, being that we are going through this CIP, right? And this has to do with the.
Planning Commission.
This is the Planning
training.
Commission. This is for the Planning Commission members.
Okay.
For the master plan and CIP
Yeah.
processes.
I mean, we have a separate line item for us, I believe, to
Yes.
be able to take seminars
Mhm.
separate from that.
Okay. I just misread that then.
Sorry, was there anything else? Did you have
I
a?
actually have two other things, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I was able to follow up on the DNR passport grant today. I know the idea was that we were going to apply for that grant ourselves. The application process begins in January, February of next year, and this would be as it relates to the concession stand for
Mhm.
the ball fields. One big hurdle for us is gonna be, we have to have an adopted CIP to even look at the grant. So, that's gonna be.
And the deadline for that submission is April something, I believe, right?
I think so.
Yeah, April 1st, I
Yeah.
think.
How does that, so that's one grant, but certainly we're applying for other grants. Are you saying that it's a limiting factor for any grant we apply, or just this
The
one?
DNR passport grant in particular, you have to have adopted capital improvements plan. And I did
I'll look
talk to
that
Fred
up. I
today,
don't
he was
remember
very
reading
helpful,
that.
he gave me some of the information he had when he applied. I did talk to the liaison that would be for our area. There is a grant writing seminar coming up in probably Detroit, she said, on February 8th. She said it's not hard to do, it's just very time-consuming. She said, to be perfectly honest with you, it's kind of a pain in the butt.
For whom?
For the person.
For the
writing
writer.
it.
For the writer, okay. Okay.
And when we had the DDA and Main Street both said, when they discussed with all of us, that we need that for grants, so, and that's quite common.
Is this, I mean, can we basically just copy what Fred had written for last year when we applied?
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
sure we
can use his application?
We can use his application, but like I said, the hurdle is gonna be, we don't have an adopted capital improvements plan yet, so we would have to do that by April 1st.
We do have one, we just.
Do we know what the timing of that?
Didn't adopt it yet.
CFP? Is it gonna be after that?
Yeah, the app is, it's got to be submitted by April 1st.
I'm talking about our CIP.
Well,
We talked about the CIP.
The CIP that we have is only for streets, right? Or is it for some equipment too, right?
Yeah. So
Some
for a
DPW
number of
equipment, but
things.
otherwise, building improvements, they're not included, right? I mean, it's not a comprehensive CIP.
No, it is not a comprehensive one.
And when was that adopted, Karen?
It wasn't.
That was one.
Yeah, we didn't formally adopt it, but
And it's a 3-month minimum to begin the process.
David Trent
So
just
that
put it
would
all
be
together.
December.
And we started using it.
just pass it down to him.
Yeah, what I'm looking at here is some pieces of equipment, DPW equipment and sidewalk trails and roads and seal coating projects.
So we would need to.
Nothing having to do with any building improvements or maintenance?
No, it looks like we'd have to do a revision on.
Yeah, we'd have
And
to
include
add
those.
to it, yeah.
So is 4 months doable to have the CIP done?
I would certainly hope so.
So we should be able to do both then? Obviously CIP being the primary and then getting that done within the window?
If we want to. I mean, it's, we
Isn't
just
that,
have to have some identification of some building-related issues that are still, that we may not be aware of. Could be the old mill, it could be the old town hall, could be our own office building.
So-
We just put a roof, for example, on the office building, but, you know, those kinds of things could be and should be part of that.
And the DDA are well on top of what areas they'd like to concentrate on with that as well, to combine forces and
Sure.
figure out what's best.
So maybe a couple workshops or something to kick things off, maybe mid to late January, and try to
In the
identify
meantime, the
what.
Historical Society could look at, the old mill and the,
I know that there's been, for example, I know that there's been a standing need on the part of the old mill to put in an improved fire suppression system. But I also know that it's $100,000, right, Chief? Minimum. So, I mean, that's a pretty major item. So do you want to put that, for example, as part of your CIP?
Yeah, I mean,
Those
You know,
are-
I was under the impression that the planning commission wrote the CIPs. But it sounds like that the village council's gonna be writing the CIP.
I think we would have input on the projects, and I would assume that the planning commission would help put together the CIP, but with input from DDA, council, and the planning commission, so that we're all on the same page, moving in the same direction.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Liz.
One more thing,
Go ahead.
if you don't mind. We have had a request from Eric Sherlick.
Shudlich? Sudlich?
Shudlick.
Sudlich?
Thank you. He would like to rent the Old Town Hall for a CPL class. And while that is not a problem in and of itself, the issue comes in where she would like to bring in an unloaded firearm for demonstration purposes for this CPL class. And I let him know I would ask your approval for that before I gave him a yes or no.
So I'm thinking, okay, CPL versus CPR. I was thinking CPR.
That's-
CPL is firearm.
Right.
This would
A
be
training
for-
class.
This would be for firemen and their wives and families and stuff like that. from
Not the general public?
Correct.
Question, why aren't they doing that at the station?
Yeah. Because Eric's doing it on his own.
I mean, our guidelines are there are no
Weapons.
firearms in the building. That's in
right, that's in our,
law.
right.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, and there, I'm sure there isn't there necessarily either.
Would probably be correct with that, because I believe the township has the same
Correct.
policy.
Yeah, so
I mean, isn't that common to meet at a site?
that allows,
I mean, a shooting range, things like that. I mean, that's quite common as a rule of thumb. We have one in the township that offers those kind of things. That might be a
There's,
good place to get with hunters.
There's two, actually, phases of the CPL. The first is the classroom portion of it, and then followed by range portion, and it's not done all in the same day. If it is all done in the same day, it would start at one classroom location and then move to a range location later on in the day.
right, so they're all not bringing in their guns.
They're
It's
not,
just,
right.
but the instructor, Eric, is bringing in his unloaded weapon
No.
for,
Well, he wanted to know if he could bring it in, he said, because it, rather than passing around, like he said, a plastic, so people could get the feel of it. And I said, hey, I would be happy to bring that to Village.
Well, I-
Council.
So he just wants to demonstrate the weight and the feel of the grip?
Yeah.
But they'll do that when they go to the shooting.
Yeah, when they go to the range.
right.
Not
You're
that
just
I'm arguing
delivering,
with
you're just
you,
the
but-
messenger. Right, I
Right.
understand.
That's a common
So-
part of CPL,
Yeah.
would be to review actually a live weapon.
And that's why
So
they're
based
held at
on where
Bass
they're
Pro
having
or at
it.
Hunters or, right, is because that's where they're allowed to have them.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So what's the direction?
I'm assuming the answer is no. that-
Well, I don't, you talk, I mean, to me, if we can talk to Lieutenant Glover or somebody from the police department that approves it, and it is not a real weapon,
Okay.
then I don't see anything wrong with it.
Okay.
It is a real
It's a
weapon.
real weapon.
It's just not loaded.
Unloaded.
It's not loaded.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is against
against
the
our
policy
policy.
of the building.
Let's bring an unloaded firearm into the building.
That wouldn't be an accurate weight description because the shells add weight to the weapon. So it's-
Right, so to give the
Yeah,
weight, if
just
that's
do
the
it outside
purpose.
and be done with it.
Yeah, I don't know what is, we need to hear, we'll have to just discuss it with Eric. I can talk with him,
Okay,
yeah.
I have this one.
Put him in touch with me or
Okay.
vice versa.
Okay.
We'll find out further details.
Thank you.
But when did he want to conduct this class? Did he say?
I don't-
He
I-
did not
she
say,
didn't pronounce
he
it.
actually will be filling in at the fire department tomorrow, I believe, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
What's his last name?
Sudlich.
Shudlick.
S-C-H.
SCHUDLICH.
LICH.
And he's a recently retired, longtime firefighter, EMT.
And he must be a licensed CPL trainer.
Oh, yeah.
He is.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, very good, thank you. New business. We have with us Chief Quapis, Fire Chief Quapis. He has some requests, mandatory requests. 4 items to purchase, I believe. 4 separate motions, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay,
See, here's where it says Davis Street, is that or backwards?
okay, well, whatever, well,
Yeah, I knew, I was like, I knew I.
Okay.
go ahead, sir.
First one is a budget amendment. The reason for the budget amendments is we had our risk management policy was over what I had budgeted. It was $52,840.23 versus $50,000 for 2017. The reason that I'm bringing this to you is in the past, we have several times received rebates from the previous year policy on whatever, there wasn't as many losses, whatever the case may be. They found that there was extra dividends, funds that they could return back. We used to put it into that same budget line. The auditor says, can't do that anymore. So that's why it has never been an issue. I've always done $50,000. It has been $51,000, $52,000, but with the credit that was coming back into that budget line, we were always under that $50,000 at the end of the year. Due to the auditing practice changes that we have to do in the township, that put me over budget for that line item. So I need to move funds to balance that line item. That line item is a department in and of itself. So I can't have that be out of whack. So that's one.
You've had to create a whole, when you say department, you mean a line item on your budget, you mean?
Yes, it's a separate department. The township does it the same way. It's a separate budget department.
Okay.
And under that department, there's a line item that pays for that risk management.
And what are they labeling that as?
MMRMA.
I believe it, I think it is. titled just-
Insurances and policies is what it's under. So hence going forward, we'll take care of that. We've budgeted $55,000 for 2018. We'll bump that up every year. And we always get money back. And as you can see, from 2016, we received $33,500 back. So when you look at it, the net policy was only $19,340.20 for the year. So that's one item. The second item is that we've had several building projects this year. One, the main part, was that we had a carryover of cost from the parking lot at station number 2. And when I say carryover, it was items that were not completed in December or billed in December. They were billed January, February, March as we were closing the contracts out, making sure everything was done. We did have a couple things that they had to finish in June, and then we had some of our final items done in July and August. So with that being said, there was $16,000, almost $17,000 that were not completed or billed in 2016 that we had to do for 17. The other is that we had the roof at Station 1, the painting of the exterior at Station 1, and the repair of our well at Fire Station number 2. The cost of those 3 projects were $35,262. what I'm asking is that we move 10,000 from our carry forward line item to that department and 3,000 to the insurance policy line item, which is a net of 13,000. As you can see, our audited fund balance was $172,004. We've already moved 12,000 previously at our joint meeting, and now we are going to move the 13,000. That'll leave us $147,004 in our fund balance carry forward. I anticipate that we will have about $80,000 to $100,000 carry forward for this budget when we are done, but I have to balance these departments per the auditor. So that's what I'm asking for tonight.
And has the township already approved these?
The fire authority has, and the township has. You guys are the last ones this time. You have the ultimate authority.
Okay, so you like this item as it reads on the back of that page, correct?
That is correct.
Both sections
Both sections.
together.
Yep.
Okay. So I move to increase line item 205-925-910.925, insurance and bonds from 50,000 to 53,000, and to increase line item 205-265-975.200, major repair, dash station 2 from $10,000 to $20,000 from the fund balance carry forward. And we'll say R, I'll say the.
Okay. Support.
Support.
So a motion by Councilman Eschman, supported by Councilman Wills, supported by Councilman Eschman, to move these monies as indicated. So we do not need a roll call vote. We're not expending from the village budget. Okay. We have a motion and a support. Do we have any questions or comments for the chief? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay.
The next item is our Alpha 2, which is our ambulance out at station number 2. It is a 2006 wheeled coach. That unit was purchased brand new. We're now at 11 years old, and we're starting to see the wear and tear of what an 11-year-old vehicle will bring us. So we are requesting that we remount this ambulance like we have in the past by the same company. We've had very good success with them. Has everything been perfect? No, but any time that we've had a problem or a concern, they have taken care of it. And to me, that's what you're looking for. This chassis will also be a four-wheel drive chassis, so that'll give us 2 four-wheel drive ambulances in the township. This one will be a GM chassis, and the other ones have been Ford chassis. We went to a GM chassis because it allows the box, the back unit, to be sitting a little lower, and the entire unit to sit a little lower. Because of the GM has a independent front suspension on it when they put the four-wheel drive into it. So it's a van chassis that they upfit. The box, just a quick how this works is the box comes off the old one, they strip it down, fix any paint, any blemishes, any welds, sand it all down, replace the electric lighting on the outside, the emergency lights, the lighting on the inside. Anything else that needs to be replaced will be done at that time. They paint it, They prep it, they put it on the chassis, hook everything back up, and when it's all said and done, it looks like a brand-new unit for far less than what a brand-new unit would cost us. To order this all brand new with a brand-new box, we'd be around the $180,000 to $190,000 mark. So we're saving somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000. We would pay half of it this year, out of this year's budget, and the other half upon delivery, which will probably be March, April timeframe.
So the budget dollars are there.
Yes, they are. I won't have to make any budget amendments.
Okay.
And again, Township has approved this. I see the.
Yeah,
fire
all
authority
of
says
these.
All of them, okay.
All of these
I see.
that you're coming tonight have already gone to the fire authority
Okay, I s-
first, and then to the township.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of a 2018 GM G4500 6.0 liter V8 gas engine completed as specified by Emergency Vehicles Plus for 140, should we say not to exceed, or you think it's going to be?
Oh, no, that's what it's going to be.
For $144,220 with a 50% deposit of $72,110 due at drop-off, and the final payment of $72,110 due at completion from line item 210-344-981-000 ambulance apparatus.
Support.
Again, this is coming from the fire department's budget. Therefore, no need to roll call. Do we have any questions, comments? We have a motion, we have a support. Councilman Eschman and Councilman Skornica, any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is what we call a RIT, a Rescue Intervention Team pack. What this does is allows a pack to aid in the rescue of a downed firefighter. These packs provide an additional air supply. This is the kit right here.
Just a minute, what
Has
about do we skip the hose? Oh,
Oh.
sorry, we got it, okay. No, it's
Did
next.
I have
I'm
it
sorry.
backward?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't
No.
matter.
Okay. So this is what the pack is. It's all bundled up, as you can see. It has a spare bottle on it, has a spare mask, it has some extra attachments inside that will allow us to connect to a downed firefighter in case of an emergency. It doesn't look like a whole lot, but when it comes time to it, that bottle that's in here will allow us 60 minutes of breathing time. The other is that it will connect right into the packs that we have. Makes it very quick, very simple. We can toss this in, hook them up, and it gives us more time. Because the worst thing we can have is a trapped firefighter with no air. He's going to die.
Is that a backpack?
No, what it is this is a hard plastic shell,
Okay.
so it can be skid across the ground. And it does have a strap. You can carry it this way, or this will detach, and you can just drag it behind you. This would, what we have asked for is, the good thing about this is while we're going to spend $11,715 to do that, we've got a grant from the AFG grant to pay for it, all but $564. That's our 5% portion. So we still need to come to do the approval because we're expending money, but the grant has covered that. The grant was written by Captain Billy Starr.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. And what's the turnaround time for that grant? Will it be the same fiscal year?
No, it has to be the same year for the grant cycle. So we have until May, but once you're the last to approve it, we'll expend the money and we'll have it done January, the end of January, maybe beginning of February at the latest. Good.
I make a motion to approve the purchase of 3 RIT packs for $11,715 from Premier Safety from line item 205-3044-977.000, equipment.
Support.
We have a motion by Councilman Bryce, supported by Councilman Skornica. Any questions? Further comments?
One other question. I assume one of these are going to each station? Is that?
Yes, what it's going to do is one on each engine. We have 3 engines.
Okay. All right.
Good question. I meant to cover that. Thank you.
All right. Yep.
Okay, hearing no other questions or comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you. And our final thing for tonight is a regional hose grant purchase. Springfield Township was is the fiduciary. They're the ones that wrote the grant for us. There were 10 departments that got together and said, hey, you know, we have fire hose that needs to be replaced. Some of the fire hose that we have is 1977, 1978 vintage. We have some that's 1985 vintage. So basically, what we're doing is replacing some of the older stuff. We are also switching some of our lines from 1 3/4 or 1.5 inches to 1 3/4. It gives us more water on the fire. But by doing this, again, it was a grant that was awarded. We're going to purchase $34,498.31 of hose, and it's only going to cost us $5,646.97. This will replace approximately 60% of our fire hose at a total feet length of 9,800 feet of fire hose. Again, it was a grant, and we're spending very little, and we're getting a large outcome for that. So,
Just curious, does the hose include the fittings and everything as well?
yeah, it includes the fittings to screw it to another length of hose,
Right.
but it does not include the nozzles.
Spray, yeah.
Those are, each handheld nozzle is about $1,200 to $1,500 each. And we'll be coming to you after the first of the year and looking at some additional purchase. Because we have some nozzles that are probably vintage 1971, 2, 3 timeframes. So pretty old stuff as well.
What's the typical expectancy,
Of what?
life expectancy of the hose?
Well, as I said, you know, we have
Same for
hose that's 70s.
And it's, but. I
But
mean,
what happens is the hose will get damaged potentially on a scene, either from the fire or from oil that we can't get it clean. The other is in this case, NFPA came out and said, listen, anything pre-1987 shouldn't be using. It's too old. It's 30 years old, you need to be getting rid of it. So I would say that we're probably, 30 years is probably an appropriate length of time. We do we test our hose yearly. We have a company that comes out, they run it up to, depending on the type of hose that we're talking about, they'll run it up to about 300 pounds. They keep it there to see if there's any leaks, if there's any bubbles, if there's any problems with the hose. If there is, they mark it, we take it out of service. So some of that is replacing of that hose. We have, unfortunately, the way it turns out, we end up probably losing about 500 to 700 feet a year.
So what's being done with the old hose that passes those tests? Are we donating those, or where does that hose
No,
go?
the hose that is still good, we're keeping.
The older hose?
Yeah,
that's
well,
still-
what we'll do is the stuff that is pre-1987, we will use on our SRU, our Special Response Unit, and we have some pumps that we can hook to that, and it doesn't require high pressure, so we can use that. We won't use it for firefighting purposes, but we can use it for that. The other, some of the 4-inch stuff, if it's really bad for us, we can't really use it. The Sheriff's Department has indicated that they would be interested in taking it for their SWAT team for their usage. And they have different things that they want to use that for.
Knock down bad guys?
They're not telling me, so I'm like, hey, I just want it all. I mean, we've got a stack about that tall that is no good. It's the 4-inch hose, and it's not worth anything to anybody. Nobody wants it, and if I put it in the dumpster, it's too heavy. So we're kind of at an impasse. And the sheriff's department said, hey, we have what we think a purpose for that. Can we have it? Absolutely.
Good.
So.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of fire hose for $5,646.97 from First Due from line item 205-344-778-000, equipment maintenance.
Support.
We have a motion by Councilman Skornicka, supported by Councilman Butsu. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Again, thank you for all your service and for all of the work that you do, and firefighters. And last night at that vigil, did I see you running around in some new turnout gear?
No.
No? I thought it looked like it was new.
No, that's our winter jackets that we
Okay.
purchased a couple of years back, so. No, it's been a rough 2 weeks for this community. So, we appreciate the community's support, and I know the sheriff's department will tell you the same thing. So
Well, again, thank you, because you're right out there with, obviously you were on response when the incident happened to
Yep.
Officer Overall, so.
Yep. A very, very huge loss to both the law enforcement community, to our community, and to a fellow coworker.
And to our school system.
Absolutely, absolutely, no doubt.
Thanks again. Okay, 13, under new business, 13B, CDBG money, here we are again, for 2016, this year.
I know.
After advertising for bids in the Citizen newspaper in May of 2017 for fiscal year 2016, and according to the guidelines for Community Development Block Grant, only one bid was received for use of funds, and that is from OSEF, Ortonville Community Emergency Funds. So we do have a suggested motion.
I'd like to make a motion to award program year 2016 CDBG funds designated to public services, emergency services in the amount of $6,000 to OSEF, and authorize the village clerk to complete the Community Development Block Grant Public Service Contract program year 2016 with OSEF.
Support.
Is that you, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Eschman, supported by Councilman Butsu. Any questions, comments? Further concerns? All those in favor of the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Item, on new business, item 13C. We have with us our Township Supervisor, Kathy Thurman. And Kathy and I and John Lyons, before he left, had some conversation about this item, and I think the events that have transpired over the last several weeks are showing the advantage to having some additional Facebook exposure. I am not a Facebook person, but there are those who are. So tell us what you have in mind, Kathy.
Well, we had been tossing around as the township board a township Facebook page, but it seemed as though we're all in kind of the same position we don't have a lot of experience with it. Some of our members do. But we wanted, it sounded like a good idea. The question was who would be administering it. So I just had a brainstorm to give it to OTV to do, because they're the ones collecting the information in our area, and that's pretty much their job, is to get that on video. So I talked to Greg Norman, and he said that he would take on that responsibility, that he's got students working for him that are adept at Facebook, and they would be able to create a page for us. So what we're looking to do is have like a joint page, Brandon Ortonville. So all of our events, any news, we can submit it to the OTV staff, and they can post it on the Facebook page. And Wayne's correct, especially this past event with the vigil that we had the other night. A lot of that happened on Facebook. We recently put a ad in the paper for a part-time job posting, and got very little response. But then when we put it out on Facebook, we had like 5 more applications. So there seems to be a lot to be said for Facebook. And we would like to make this page view only. It wouldn't be where we're taking comments from people and we have to address them. So it's just a way for us to put more information out to the community.
So has there been any discussions on how you would control the, I would say, accuracy of what's posted? So who would, I mean, so there would have to be, to me, some accuracy. You know, to me, I'm not a Facebook person either. I don't have time for it. I don't have an account. But I always hear about, you know, the different things about what's true, what's not true, and you can't believe everything you read, et cetera. So how would that be controlled?
Well, I don't know who does the posting to your website, but it would pretty much be the same person posting to your website that would be submitting for Facebook. So the village and the township would basically write something up and just send it over to the OTV staff, and they would post it for us.
Would it have to be, is your vision, Kathy, a joint submission of whenever we were to submit, if it was like daily or weekly, or would it be on a joint basis, do you think?
No, it would be the village would be submitting whenever they had events or topics they wanted to submit, and the township would also do the same.
So not familiar with Facebook, would there be 2 pages, one for Brandon Township?
No,
one
one
for-
page,
One
one
page?
page.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, and I'm not a Facebook, don't have an account. Although I think that there was a need to disperse, just in light of the recent activities, to disperse the information. I guess I'm just trying to think of like what we would have to gain other than one page, because whatever we're doing should be on our web page, just like it would be on your web page. So now we have 2, so now we have like 3 sources. I guess I'm just wondering, aside from the social media, what we would be gaining.
Well, with
It would be mine, because you mentioned about, with Greg Norman, about the young students that would be doing that. It's not, you know, accuracy, and I agree, it's like if we have something that should come from our village clerk or village manager or village president of what we want to put out there, so that it should be real news and not, you know,
Not an
opinion one way. It should just be, this is what's happening and way to disseminate news.
Well, I think most businesses have a Facebook account. It's not a gossip session, it's facts, it's information. It's holding events, Christmas in the village, posting it, come downtown, this
Right.
is what's going on, here's all the information.
Right, no, I understand.
You don't, on the website, you can't do that. All you see is a posting of what's listed in the paper.
No, we have,
When you have it on Facebook, you're able to say, you know, hypothetically for the vigil, do we need to bring candles? Do we need to bring our own ribbon? You can ask questions like that. That was my question for you. Why are we choosing view only instead of admin approving questions, because what if I want to ask what time the polls open tomorrow, or when are my taxes due, or what are your hours for tax season? Questions like that. Can we do an admin, the question submitted, it has to be approved before it is posted anywhere? Is that an option?
You mean the public submitting questions?
Right, you can submit a question, admin decides to approve it or not, and it is not posted until admin approves that. So when everybody's asking what time is trick or treating, which they do all over Facebook every single year, the question would be up. What
Well,
time is
I
trick-or-treating?
would
Oh, it's
think,
this
I would
time.
think we would do a posting stating the times of trick-or-treating before and
That's
answer
on
the
our web,
question.
and it's also in the paper.
Right.
But Facebook is another avenue, so
And the difference is, Colleen, with Facebook, the message goes out to the public, whereas with your website,
We have
the
to
public
initiate
has,
it.
the public has to find the website
They
and
have to
keep
initiate.
checking. Yes,
Right.
initiate. So,
Well, they're only going to go to the it's only going to go to the public if they're a Facebook member, right?
right, and
Or
if they like, our page.
or whatever.
And they're
like
going to
follow.
pass it along to the next
Yes,
person, and it's
that
going to
likes
be
the
there.
page, and so it just kind of gets out there, and there's so many people that use it that it's just one more avenue for getting the message out.
And like Witches Night Out, the weather was terrible. People were asking on a constant basis, are we still doing it? Is it still the same time? That information
Well-
is to the minute, and we need to know, and people need to be able to access that.
And I think what we can do if people are asking questions to the village or the township, we can provide that answer on Facebook, but I don't know as far as having the link where they ask the question right to the Facebook page, because then that
No, they would
becomes
ask
more
the
It's going to be a
cumbersome.
admin.
part-time job, just doing
It
responses.
goes straight to
Yes.
admin, and then the admin decides what to do
Yes,
with it.
yeah.
Okay.
So in this case, the admin would be Greg?
It would be Greg overseeing one of his students.
So to me, and I agree, there's always going to be questions when you put out media information. But to me, I think if you'd have questions, we still have Brandon Township offices, and we still have
No, and I don't
Village
know.
Ortonville offices to answer those questions.
Right.
But I think Greg would probably question, whoa, I thought you just wanted me to post a read only, but now when
Right.
we're soliciting questions.
Okay,
it-
and maybe I misunderstood Tanya. I think those questions should go to the village and the township. And if they're getting those questions, they can put a post
There you
that
go.
answers for everybody. But I don't think the OTV should be answering anything.
No,
No.
Agreed.
no.
Yeah, the same
No, they're-
admin response would be if somebody calls in and asks a question, you get that same person responding in the same way, but a different communication vehicle.
So there would not be an admin at the village and the township as well? Everything would have to go through OTV if you wanted to post anything?
The outgoing, I would think, yeah. Yeah.
So what
Basically,
happens when he's on vacation or out of town? I mean, usually there's an admin from each person, you know what I mean, saying?
It's not public
I don't know if Greg is still here.
public comment. It's not public comment.
All right,
Would you come up there, please?
Are we doing
come on,
public comment?
Shelby.
Anyone who doesn't know
She's
me,
young and she knows Facebook, I'm sure.
for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Shelby Stewart. I'm the new reporter at the Citizen.
Oh.
I actually run the Facebook page. You can have multiple admins. I'm an admin on our Facebook page, as is David Fleet. Susan Bromley's actually still listed as an admin, and so is our columnist from Clarkston, Don Rush. So you could have someone in each office that could post to the Facebook page or have access to be an admin on the Facebook page, but all those posts could still go through Greg as like the main admin. You just have other people who could still post and see all the notifications and everything.
So you're able to post anything you want as an admin?
Mhm.
Without approval of anybody else? You can
You are
just-
the admin, you are the approval.
She is the admin.
Well,
Yeah, you can. Any admin can post anything, see all the notifications, all the messages. If people have questions and are messaging the page, you can view those as well.
But you've been given that approval. You've been given that authority.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you had your clerk or someone at your village offices as well as the township offices that might have the job of monitoring that, they could see if there's anything that pertains to specifically the village or the township that needs to be answered immediately.
Thank you.
so Kathy, I have a question.
are you-
Thank you.
Shelby, are you talking about a page that is not read-only, though? Or
It
how's that
should be
working?
fine for read-only or for,
As far as having multiple admins?
yes.
And I think our vision was a read-only page, so we weren't,
Going to be going,
Interacting,
answer,
yeah.
question,
Yeah,
answer.
we don't want to
So
be
they can make a phone call.
inundated with.
Well, and then you have to worry about, okay, if you have an admin, then I would think if I was given the authority to be an admin, I'd want to have every council person know that I'm posting something out there, as opposed to me posting something and then get 6 phone calls, like, what the heck you do? You know what I mean? So, to be all on the same page, right? So that's where I think there may be some
Yeah, we-
hurdles.
Just like we've always heard in the past, we don't want to read about it in this citizen
how do you
before.
decide what goes
Right.
on your website?
I'm sorry?
How do you decide what goes on your website?
For activities and.
Liz knows. It's our
So
standard
we
stuff.
could trust her as an admin on the Facebook page. I've been an admin on the Brandon Library and Baker College, and there's not a problem. You're giving facts and information, closures, holidays. It's not, it's drama-free. It's a business Facebook page.
It's helpful, like, if you have a road project and you're going to be closing a road,
Mhm.
put that out there. And the word just promulgates and gets
Which
around.
we already would be putting out there and in our, so, but I understand it's just another means to do that, to another vehicle to use to get the message out.
And I'm sure it's an up-to-date good one. I mean,
I was gonna say, I don't check
Yeah.
our website unless
Yeah.
I need to pull a form off of it.
yeah, but I mean,
I don't
more
look at
people
it.
are on Facebook than there are go searching out our website, so it makes sense.
I move to
Does this
allow
be
the
controlled?
OTV staff to create and maintain a Village of Ortonville view-only Facebook page in cooperation with Brandon Township.
But
Support.
before it goes live, I'd, like to have some testing done, just to make sure that it's all, admin and, before it goes live.
So are we saying, does, by us doing this, does it require an admin? So are you going to have a designated admin for the township side as being the clerk? Or are you not going to have any admin at all at this point from a Brandon Township side?
I was hoping that we could just send our information to OTV.
And they would post it.
And they would post it.
That
And
makes
we
sense.
Which is what
being, you?
Well, whoever posts on our website.
And
Same
who
people
posts on your website?
I do. The clerk has a page and she updates. We have a lot. We do have a Facebook page for our Parks and Recreation Department, but if they wanted to also post events on a township web Facebook page, they would probably be welcome to do that too.
Is the Parks and Rec's Facebook page read-only?
I don't know. I don't know.
It is not.
It is not?
No, because when the games are canceled and things, you can ask questions and you
You
could
can,
ask
and they
when
answer.
when your
Okay.
team, which field your team's on.
Okay.
Rescheduling and so forth? Okay. So we have a motion by Councilman Wills, supported by Councilman Eschman. Other questions, comments?
What's the time frame are you hoping for?
It would be up to the OTV staff. I mean, I think they're just waiting for the signal from us to go ahead and create a page.
I guess I'd like it to be Greg Norman as, the point person, rather than leaving it open as OTV staff. I'd like it to specifically point him as the control person, if you will, point person, rather than leaving it open to high school unknowns.
And then would there be like a header or anything on this page, or it's just like, are we,
You have a home page, and it would have, so that, I think, Tanya, how does that go? They have like
Well, you
A
will
picture
have to have
of
a title
a
of the group.
village
We have to
and
decide what
title
it's
and-
called.
Right.
Yes, then you choose to like that. You will add posts to each one. There's two main pictures that will be up there. You can choose to change that at any time. You can choose to make it whatever you choose.
So, we have any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Kathy.
Sure. I will get with Mr. Norman tomorrow.
Okay, item D,
Just let me know.
also Kathy is here to answer questions. The repaving of the driveway in the parking area around this building has been woefully needed for quite a while, but not to steal some of Kathy's thunder, but I have talked with her, and part of the reason why it's not been done previously is that there were some issues with the DEQ from the old gas leak from the old storage tanks, right?
Mhm.
And so it wasn't until recently that they were given the green light to resurface the parking lot. Otherwise, they would have had to perhaps potentially do it twice. They didn't want to do that, so.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we sent this out for bid. A&N was the lowest bid. They quoted us, I think, 39,000 something. That was for 3 inches. Our board wanted a 4-inch layer of asphalt instead of 3. We were told that, especially the truck going in to empty the dumpster, needed deeper surface. And so the quote now, let's see, I wrote it all down. Here we go. Is for $47,370 to do the whole parking lot in 4 inches. And then part of what was quoted is over village property. The village owns the parking spaces by Crossman Park. So in those parking spaces is a place where we have a manhole cover has sunk and it's tipped, and so the township is going to pay for 10 feet to 10 feet in diameter square to fix around that and to fix that manhole cover.
Raise it up.
Yeah.
To the new level.
Yeah. So the township's portion is $41,040, and that leaves the village with $6,330. So the question is, does the village want to get the repaving done at the same time as the township, or does the village want to do it on their own?
Do you know how many square foot the portion of the village is? So if we did that in square footage, how many dollars per square foot that would be? Because I seem to remember when I talked with John briefly, John seemed to think the quote was high. Now, I didn't see any quotes, so but John is familiar with that type, and he commented that he seemed like it was high.
According to the rest of the quotes we got, this was
a low.
quite lower than the rest. Let me see. Also, if you want to replace your plastic bumper guards, they would replace them with cement ones for $54 each as an option.
What will the township
Do
be
we have that
doing?
information?
Are they leaving or?
We have cement
Stay here.
ones,
You already did.
but
I don't know if you
some
did.
of them are in bad shape, so we'll probably replace the ones that need it.
What's the timing?
The whole square footage is 14,000. But I don't have, let's see. I don't see where it broke out the square footage for the
For the parking
parking
spots.
spaces.
So how was
Somewhere it must have
how
been
was the
determined.
6,000?
It was in our packet
I'm
last
sure
month.
he had to get that price.
It was in our packet from when, last time?
Last month, yeah, remember John sent that out and it's in our email.
It was in our packet from when, last time?
Last month, yeah, it was in our email.
Yeah.
It
Again, the village's portion is how much?
6330.
6,330.
63?
Yeah,
6330.
and that is to take out the existing asphalt to build up the subgrade and for 4 inches of new asphalt. So if you're just doing an overlay, it's a lot less expensive.
So if we didn't do it, it's gonna be high once, I mean,
What's that percentage?
we don't have a choice not to. I mean, I don't think 63 is bad, yeah. It's like, the equipment's there, it's like, otherwise. We'll have-
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dan, I'm not.
Right.
That's roughly 15%.
So.
Oh, I did find it. Approximately 2,400 square feet.
But the bumper guards are not included in that. That's only if
Correct.
we want to do that.
Right, right.
And around the rest of the building, how far are you going? Are you going out all the way to Mill Street? Or
No.
what's your plan?
The project is just the sides of the building and the back of the building, and we're going to do an overlay on our front parking spaces. They're not really connected to the back. So there's like an island. As you pull around the building to the right, there's like an island that extends out. It would be from that point over to the park, heading back, and then the driveway on the other side. Well, I guess it's over here.
So how many bumper guards are you planning on putting up?
The township for the back? Well,
we, the township?
well, the township has bumper guards in the back part of the parking lot. I'm thinking we're probably going to be replacing, or I don't know, 4 or 5. No, some of them are already in good shape and they're cement.
Okay.
This also includes striping after it's put down.
So we have bumper guards now out there, and I really didn't notice whether they're plastic, but you're saying they're plastic.
Mm-hmm.
But in my experience with concretes, they degrade and they do break up and they erode over time, where that's where plastic came in, right? And plastic doesn't do that, right?
Right. Well, if you go look at them, the plastic, they tend to move around more.
They're not staked
They're
in.
not as, yeah, they're not as, there's not as much substance to them. They're not as high and they're not as
Well,
heavy.
they are staked in, but they're,
This,
a snowplow can move them
mhm.
easier than concrete.
What if we put a guardrail up, then,
Okay, so, and.
it would protect the park.
Councilman Eschman's question a few seconds ago, Kathy, had to do with the timing. And could you address what the time frame is?
Well, now that we're looking to get into the colder weather, we're not going to be doing this until springtime, till probably the ground firms up enough that they can get out here.
And then how long is the quote good for? Is it good to springtime then?
It should be, because that's, I spoke to him and that's what the plan is, so I don't think the quote's going to change.
Well, it's
A lot of times they're good for 30 days or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes.
we need to confirm that.
I do know things petroleum related are going up, and they will be going up in 2018. That's why I asked if it was good for into 2018.
Well, it's good to, until they can do the job. They cannot do asphalt right now because it's too cold.
But, yeah, we just
For a
need
project
to,
like this.
as taxpayers of both the township and the village, we just need to confirm that that price is gonna be held for the spring.
Well, if it's a different price, I'll have to come back. Okay?
Okay. And so that, because of that timing, you're not looking for an answer then right away either then? There's no motion here, no requested motion.
Yeah, were you looking for approval tonight?
Well, it's up to you. I didn't write your agenda or your proposal.
Oh, right. Well,
Yeah, I know, but I didn't know.
The
whether-
township has approved it.
Okay,
So-
township has approved it, but there's
The-
no immediate need for us to.
Well, we
If
could
you
make
want to
a
bring it back to
motion
another
pending
meeting,
that it
it's up to you.
vote stands.
Well, if there's anything,
Right.
if there's any questions that we have outstanding, we could research those and do it and prove it next month.
You can do that, and I can find out how long the quote's good for, if you want me to.
Yeah, and you could email Liz or call me, and then we'll pass it around.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Kathy? Okay.
That way you can take a look at your bumper guards, too.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Now, there was an issue, that, what prompted some of this was that we were having maintenance issues with our DPW vehicles because the parking lot was so bad that it was recommended by our supervisor that we not plow it any longer. It's because it was damaging our equipment. So that was a concern. I did talk with our supervisor a few days ago, and Bob Hawkswell indicated that, if we wanted him to go ahead and do that, the maintenance, again, the snow plowing, that he would do it. He recommended against it, but he would do it. There's some pretty serious change of elevations and lips out there, and he just wanted us to be aware of that.
Friday, we had this company fill in the potholes.
Oh, okay.
So if you take a look, you'll see that that's been done. Where that manhole cover is, that's still going to be an issue. They're still going to have to be careful there. But yeah, I would need to know if the village is going to be doing our snow plowing for us this winter. Because if not, I've got to find somebody else, and I have to know exactly where the plowing would stop and start.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And we'll discuss that issue.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
All right.
And then one other question, then, we're talking about raising the manhole cover, and I know historically in the past, that park, on occasion, not a lot, floods dramatically, right? So by raising everything, are we taking away from the drainage from any flood that might be occurring in the park?
That's not really a drain. What that is, it's a lid for a septic tank, as I understand it.
There's a dry well under the
Dry
parking
well.
lot.
Yeah. So it's not an actual drain. The actual drain is farther, closer to Papa Bella's,
Okay,
where the actual drain is.
all right.
But, yeah, as you raise the parking lot, you're creating more of a pool.
Right. Well, it'd have to be directed, right? So the grades have to be looked at. So we're not adding to the.
And we're not changing the elevation or the slope of the grass beyond it.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't think, because it's a replacement, I don't think we're really going to be changing the elevation a whole lot.
Well, you're adding
Because we're
4
ta-
inches. You're
Yeah,
gonna-
but we're taking out the old.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, yeah. All of it? All the way?
Well, not the front parking spaces. We're just overlaying there, but
Okay.
the rest of it all.
Taper it down or whatever, so that they match and meet.
But I thought I heard you say that you were raising the manhole cover. Did I hear that, or you?
Yeah, because it's sunk down.
Oh, it
Dropped down,
Got it.
yeah.
All right.
You're just bringing it
Okay.
back to grade. I
Yes,
Right.
so it'll bring
Whatever
it up to
takes
grade.
to make it even with the
Right.
finished grade, then
Right.
that's what you're gonna
Right.
do. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Kathy.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Wayne, that's one thing that dropped off of old business was looking into cleaning the storm drain. That was concerns with the neighbors backing up to the park and how it's flooding.
I thought they
We
took care of
dropped
that.
It's all been taken care of.
We did too.
No, because he said after it still wasn't taken care of. And that was it, and it just kind of funneled through because then it was David, then it was, and we haven't addressed
Well,
that.
those drains, according to what Bob told me, was that they've all flushed through, and the cameras are, the back flushing and the pressure flushing has done the job.
That's what I thought I heard, I remember.
Okay. Well,
But
I
there
know the
wasn't-
neighbor stood up and said it was not the case, and we said we would look further into it, and we haven't. I don't know when the last time it's flooded, but I
Okay,
think
so
that
we've got
should
several things for Bob.
stay on there.
Are you noting them?
I am.
Okay.
Poor Bob,
Okay.
Okay, we'll follow up on that.
just to be,
And,
yeah.
and she knows who the neighbor is, or who the resident is?
I think Ron was the one that
Right, yeah.
commented. Ron's the
Ron.
one
I
that
I
commented.
think it was Ron Sutton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a different brand too, so.
No, I thought you were talking, well, I knew
No,
that,
because
the
I remember it was
DPW
brought
drain
up that they had
was
been snaked out, and he said no, he said it's still, their yard just flooded. So that was his concern when he stood up, was that it had not been addressed yet.
I thought it was addressed
But
after that,
weather-wise, I don't think we've had that lately.
Okay, well, we'll circle around and talk to, and it was Ron? Okay, okay. Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Well, that reminded me when you were talking about the duck back there.
Right. I thought that was.
Okay, moving forward. New business. Item E. So, I've sent out a letter of interest from a 28-year-old, or 28-year veteran resident of our community, Mark Robinson, at 132 Mill Street, has written, he's verbally and written his interest to join us on council. He's been the only one that's responded. I have talked with him and gave him a little bit of a history about how we operate, and he could not be here tonight, but he does want to be considered, and so we have an opportunity to approve him tonight, or not. We could leave the seat vacant. There's no mandatory reason that we have to fill the seat, but I have talked with a couple of council members, and they do want the seat filled. Any questions, comments? Otherwise?
I support having a full board. I think it's always good to have diverse board with different opinions and ideas, so for me, leaving it vacant doesn't do the village residents any good. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Agreed.
So I move that we approve the appointment of Mark Robinson from 132 Mill Street to complete the term of the council seat vacated by Keith Dylas, term ending November of 2018.
Support.
So we have a motion by Councilman Wills, supported by Councilman Sleva. Questions, comments?
Mark has lived down the street from me for 28 years. He's a very nice guy. Everything about him is pretty on the up and up, I think, from what I know about him. We're not that good, we're not that close, but
Yeah.
I've seen him for years. He's raised his family here. So,
Good.
he's a nice guy.
I mean, it would have been great if he was here, however, business or work comes, comes first. And him being the only one that has come forward, I see no reason to hold the position open, but it would have been great if we could have met him, but I understand the reasons why.
He is, as I indicated in my email to the council, Mark works for aerospace supplier, and he supplies to Tier 1 aerospace contractors such as Boeing and Lockheed Martin, et cetera. He is an aerospace engineer, and he just recently restructured his job so that he did not travel so much, and he is doing a lot of work from home via computer, and he's indicated that because of that, he's able to meet with us if there's a subcommittee meeting that we need to meet on the daytime, he's available, as well as evenings. However, this particular week, he had a previous engagement that did take him out of town. He does not see that that's going to be an issue in the future. He should be here every meeting.
Okay.
And to add to that also, once you meet him and see him, you'll recognize him. He's been to quite a few meetings over the
Yeah,
years.
he's attended meetings in the past, yeah. He's been very vocal about the lack of dumpster screening.
Okay.
Okay, so all those in favor of the motion as read and supported, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Now we move on to the corrected agenda, item F, parade permits. We have post facto parade permit, meaning after the fact.
Why was that? They just didn't get it into us in time?
Liz.
Oh, I mean,
I didn't even realize I needed to do this.
oh, okay, all right. I was just wondering why.
That's that and other items on your,
Okay.
It's
So I
on the
make a
job
mo-
training.
I make a motion to approve the permit application ex post facto submitted by the Village of Ortonville Municipal Office for road closures and to conduct the annual Halloween trick-or-treating from 6:30 PM to 7:30 PM on Tuesday, October 31st, 2017.
Support. Motion by Councilman Skornicka, supported by Councilman Bryce, to approve the motion as read. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 2F, or F2, the Christmas parade, which is coming up, albeit only this Saturday away. We have a parade route here someplace here.
I make a motion to approve the permit application submitted by Brandon Township Recreation Department to conduct the annual Christmas in the Village Parade on Saturday, December 2nd, 17. Just that way
Support.
for the time.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Skornicka, supported by Councilman Eschman. Questions?
I just noticed on the map that typically we don't don't go all the way down Ball Street to Cedar, but it does show that we're right there at the senior citizen.
That's where we
Is
typically
that-
start.
is that what it goes
Yeah,
back
they
that
line
far?
up there.
So we line up that whole
They'll line
Ball
up
Street?
from the senior center roughly, maybe a little bit west of that time. Depends on how large the parade is.
Okay.
And then it'll typically, the lineup will end just close to Church Street. So they'll line up pretty much the entire length of Ball.
So I assume that council will not be in the parade this year? We have been in the past except for last year, so I'm assuming no.
Well, we do have a new truck that we could,
Oh. Well, I showed up last year, but didn't know that we weren't doing it. Okay, I was just,
Did you still walk?
I didn't know that we weren't, no.
you want to drive the new truck?
I'll drive. I was like, okay, I guess we're not doing it this year. News to me, and I'm at the meetings. Anyway, so just throwing it out there if we were doing it or not, just so I don't show up.
Well, we'll talk to our DPW supervisor and see if he'll allow you to drive it.
If not, ride shotgun?
Okay, all those in favor of the motion as read for the Christmas parade, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
The draft copy of the parade permit for your perusal.
Okay, we don't have to vote on it
You
then.
don't have to vote on it.
No, this is, and again,
Thank you.
part of the issue has to do with the enforcement of the comments. I know that the people that apply for these permits have been pretty good about getting the sheriff and the fire chief's approval. The only thing that they've been lacking is the safety and insurance information from time to time, and where they say check prior year's report or check prior year's application, they don't actually put any details in. which I,
Which they want you to go back and dig it up?
they want us to dig it up. So I think we need to be more forceful in getting that information.
So something along the top of, please complete all sections for approval,
All sections are required.
are mandatory, required.
Completion of all sections is required.
As applicable, like they would, yeah,
Approval.
right. Yep,
That's good.
yep.
So should we give you any comments or anything by December so we can get it changed over in December? And
Yeah, unless you have any other comments, we can just switch over to this permit.
Yeah, that would be my only concern.
I,
Current data only.
my only suggestion would only be just edit, just maybe the logo in the center. That'd be my only, but I don't really care, it's just, I just think maybe it would look better, but that's no big deal. Then, yeah, I think it looks
It
good.
looks like it's good.
Yeah,
Looks
very
like it
nice.
Covers everything.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Much
Thank you,
improved.
Liz.
Thank you, Liz. Item G, Oakland County ARC GIS Services. So it looks like to me, in the past, this has been available, this mapping system has been available. We've not taken advantage of it because there was an exorbitant cost that we did not feel was justified. In the past, the cost was $1,700 per year,
Roughly.
roughly. But now, if we go through the county using their IT services agreement, we can get the same services and it's for free.
And it's really mapping, you can use it for presentations. I think, and I would know after I went through the training, of course, a big thing for us, I think, would be like mapping of streets and stuff like that.
Could we append this and review, because I didn't know anything about it until my packet, just to look it over. I haven't, being IT, I didn't know anything about it.
Is there any
just to look it
time
over.
constraint that we're,
I'm already past the time.
Oh, I mean, I didn't know anything about it, the training, or just to take a look at it. so-
already past the time?
They were.
Oh, it came in September.
It's up to you. I mean, the only thing we would have to sign is Oakland County's IT services agreement, which we probably sign using their internet anyways. So I'll leave it up to you. I mean, we don't have to use it. When I need maps now, what I'm doing is I'm calling either the fire department or I call Candy.
What would be an example of a map that you would request from Candy, for example?
I think I requested an updated road map from you. I don't know how recent it was though, and I know I requested one from Kay at the fire department as well. So-
Does it have all of the street addresses,
Right, and Matt would use it for,
the DDA?
correct.
Okay.
Well, and also if you look at page 3, it talks about the online payments, paying your local taxes, using Clemis, all the things that, doing with through the IT agreement. So I think as Liz says, we are already utilizing that.
So it does say that using this service, you need okay, I see that, okay, never mind. Yep, I'm good. Answered my own question.
So it is free, totally free, right? No,
Correct.
The training's free?
no upgrades available? I mean, if we want color, is there an upgrade, or is it come in color, or what?
It comes in color.
Okay, okay. No fine print that we're,
No obligations.
No obligation,
cancel at any time?
sure.
It's free.
Yeah.
Well, things start out free.
You can't blame us for
They-
asking.
they-
How
they
many
bait
things are
you.
free?
No, I know, but can you cancel? Can I cancel my free subscription?
Well, you might think it's kind of humorous, but in the educational field,
30 feet.
that's done all the time. They make something
30
that they
days.
want to do, and then they give you that for free,
That
and then they
trial.
mandate it, and then in year 2 or 3, now you've got to pay for it.
Right.
Well, that's when we'll leave it.
They, they want you to like it, and then,
I
yeah.
think it's a good idea, too.
I
I
make a
don't know why we
motion to
would-
approve entering into Oakland County's IT services agreement for the use of ArcGIS and pictometry online services.
I'll support that.
Yeah.
So we have a motion by Councilman Bryce, supported by Councilman Butsu. Any other questions or comments? And I understand your concern, Colleen.
Yeah, I mean, I just would, would have liked to be in the loop, that's all.
When is your second training? It's in December?
Yes.
December, okay.
But I think what does, item 2.4 talks about additional amendments to the licensing agreement. And that's where your concern or ours concern, as time goes on, things may change. And it looks like they are allowed to make amendments to the license agreement, but should, and they're saying here that they should notify us if and when that does occur. On the 2.4.
There's a,
Yeah, I got a different version than you do.
yeah, that's what page?
Page 2.
Aha. Which one are we gonna sign?
I don't think there is 2 of them here.
My 2.2.
There's more than one. It depends on which section you're reading.
Okay. Well, we'll go over this thoroughly between Liz and I and Colleen before we sign it. How's that? Fair enough? Okay, good.
Sounds good.
All right. So we have a motion and a support on the floor. All those in favor, are there any further questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Item H, revised item H of calendar for 2018. Any significant changes that you noted, Liz, on our calendar projecting into the future?
Other than adding a meeting for December of next year. There are no significant changes.
I wanted to comment just on one date. This had to do with around Memorial, the weekend and Memorial Day. We do have a meeting that's scheduled for Tuesday, May 29th. That would be the day after Memorial Day. And I'm wondering if maybe we can move it up just a week earlier to May 21st. That way, if anybody's got vacation or
I
around that
thought we did
Memorial.
that last year.
I'm not sure, but it seems like May 21st might be a better
I agree.
date.
Because I know I work Tuesday nights, so I can't. But it's up to everybody
I have no
else.
problem with that.
Moving it to May 21st.
Anyone else?
The 22nd?
I don't care.
22nd, wouldn't it be?
No.
21st,
it's
too.
it's
The
20
22nd would be a Tuesday.
It's the 21st, Monday.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's, okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm thinking a week earlier than it was. And my question is that
Good
I know
catch.
I said it last year too, the December 10th. That's only 2 weeks following the November meeting and 6 weeks before the January meeting. Why can't we meet December 17th? That's nowhere near Christmas. It just seems so odd to meet after 2 weeks and then not for 6 weeks instead of each month. I know I brought it up last year and people thought they might be busy on Monday night, but I guess I thought I'd poll again.
I have no problem with the 17th.
I don't either.
I'm sorry?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Right,
But
no, it
school's
goes
still
back, so-
open then,
Right.
school's still open the week of the 17th.
I mean, I could see like
right?
the week of Christmas, but it's
Right.
so far away that
No, I agree.
it's rough to do it.
I don't
2
know
weeks
why
later.
it's, yeah.
Makes
Because
sense.
I think some weeks it falls like the 21st or whatever, it'd be close. So the 17th?
Mhm.
All right. Thank you. And are we doing the recommended close days too at the same time, right? All the same?
Yes, that's for this year yet.
Yeah.
Again, it was noted that we had a little bit of a discrepancy on the personnel manual. The only concern that I had, and I discussed this with a couple of the people in the office, that left us with a 2-day work week. Before Christmas, right? Or after Christmas? Yeah,
After
after
between.
Christmas, between the holidays.
But I think that's how it is
Well, I mean, that's how it is.
everywhere. That's all banks and all, the fire, everybody's, the township.
What's the township doing?
Here 2 days.
2 days, yeah.
What if I want to come in?
They'll just find in the door. and
Oh,
they're not-
It'll be on Facebook,
We'll
I'll
all
be
be
on
at your
Facebook,
window.
yeah.
I don't do Facebook, so.
so,
if you-
so you'll find out in the paper.
Yes.
If it snows out, I'm sure Bob wouldn't mind the extra help snow shoveling.
Since we're all off.
So this is just pretty much a notification, clarification, I should say. Okay, everybody okay with that?
Fine.
Sounds good.
Very good. Old business.
Do you have to be, just for point of clarification on my part, do you have to vote on this so we can publish this, next year's meeting dates or anything?
No.
Okay.
Barry?
Old business. Streetlights, Ball Street. Looks like Liz was able to confirm with DTE Energy that the light at the corner, that's at the corner of Ball and James, is it?
It's
Or
about halfway down.
halfway down?
Mhm.
To the west?
I'm not exactly sure if it's to the east or to the west.
Not towards the bridge, but towards, okay, wherever,
Wherever we contracted to have it installed.
it'll be installed on Ball Street as contracted in mid to late December.
Correct.
I believe it is the senior center side because the other side has one near the street, right? Is that James that comes out there at the edge of the bridge?
That
And-
is James.
And
yeah.
there already is one, so it's further down, I believe, on the other side was the concern. With the kids walking and it's pitch black on the senior center side.
Okay.
Do we need to confirm that location so that when they go put it up, it is where we think they're putting it up? Or has that already been designated somewhere?
Yes.
John
It has,
did that.
okay.
And how much is that?
That one was,
I don't see that.
well, that one was approved and paid for, I think, at $400 and some dollars.
Okay. So it's already been approved and paid?
Correct.
We're just waiting for instance, okay.
Yes,
All
at
right.
the last meeting or
Oh.
meeting prior.
Okay. All right, so now we just have,
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, it's in here, our thing.
We have a suggested motion for this,
That's the new one.
That's the new one.
the meeting. Okay, yeah. We're not gonna. need
Oh, for the calendar.
$430.36 was last
You
year.
Calendar, we
about
don't need
this
to
one.
approve.
I was talking about that.
We're gonna do
Yeah,
this
yeah.
mm,
I don't think we need the, we don't need the motion for that, but.
for the calendar now. Okay, so then we move on to item 14A2, which is Crescent Hill Drive. Again, DTE submitted a proposal at our request in the amount of $1,622.76 to install a streetlight at the intersection of Mill Street and Crescent Hill Drive. Again, for safety reasons for the kids who are boarding school buses there. The price quote is higher than the Ball Street construction light installation because a new wooden pole would have to be installed as well. So that's the difference there. So you just need a motion to complete that project.
I make a motion to approve the proposal by DTE to install street lighting at the intersection of Mill Street and Crescent Hill Drive for the amount of $1,622.76, and authorize the village clerk to sign the master agreement with DTE and submit the payment for construction.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Skornicka, supported by Councilman Eschman. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Bryce?
Yes?
Watson?
Yes.
Eschman?
Yes?
Skornicka?
Yes.
Sleva?
Yes.
Wills?
Yes, the motion passes unanimously. Item old business B1, the trash receptacle screening discussion, specifically Jet's Pizza Dumpster. And our newest council member has been rather vocal about that a couple of meetings in a row, that it has not been taken care of.
He actually brought that up this time last year. In a meeting.
Been a whole year?
Yeah, it's been a year.
Yeah.
So not only that
That's gotta get done
dumpster, but
fast.
there are other
Like you.
dumpsters.
Oh, it's
in
all over the village,
community
yeah.
It's like-
That are not contained. So the dumpsters are there, but for, I think our ordinance is stated, which is here, right, that if you have a business and/or if you, apartment complex where it's used regularly, et cetera, to have it contain, or shielded, for the lack of a better word, whether it be through a gate and/or shrubbery or trees around it, to make it aesthetically pleasing, which,
Yeah, this is ordinance, it's like 50.05, item C, dumpster and trash receptacle area screening on all commercial properties in the village. Dumpsters and other trash receptacles which are regularly used on the property shall be screened from view from the adjoining road and surrounding properties either by natural or planted landscaping or by a screening structure constructed on the property.
I would, I know most people think of commercial use as businesses, but group homes and/or apartments I would consider to be commercial as well, only because of the amount of use. So there, we do have several group homes that have dumpsters that are sitting right out in the open, and then there are a couple one apartment complex for sure that I know of where dumpsters are in plain view from South Street.
Have they received any letters? Have they, we've been talking about this for the last
Jets
year.
had, and
Jets is,
the apartment behind Rite Aid. When they addressed the business across the street, that apartment behind Rite Aid was addressed to keep them closed and cleaned up. Those are the only two I know of.
It's disappointing that the follow-up has been now a year afterwards.
This was a topic that was brought up many, many years ago. I did bring it up, and we just chose to, and it was not, chose not to enforce the ordinance where, you know, here we're trying to beautify the neighborhood, the downtown, et cetera, to make it more inviting for businesses, et cetera. So from a beautification standpoint, it makes sense that we do enforce that so that it does look nice and pleasing, so that we're not looking at garbage dumpsters as we drive through town or anywhere.
My question is the administrative review fee.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know what the fee is if you wanted to put a shed in your backyard? Anybody? I kind of was hoping Bill would be here, because I think that's awfully expensive for a gate. And I was wondering comparably, what is that compared to a little shed?
Well, it depends on the size of the shed. If it's less than 200 square feet, you don't need a building permit.
So this is gonna be less than 200 square feet. So we're gonna charge them $125. That was, I guess, my point. I
It
mean,
requires a site review from the.
right.
But
at
wouldn't it?
$125. I just think I would like to see what's comparable that we ask that amount for. And I'm not looking at you because Bill's not here. But that's what I would like to see. I think that's steep to put a gate up. I really do. I would like to see half that, if not, I mean,
I don't know why we'd even have to charge more.
because he has to go out. I understand that.
But
Like,
it-
he has to come and look at it.
But you would have to do that for a shed or any other modification from a plan standpoint, so why are we just picking dumpsters to charge more for?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Can we
I
make
don't-
that
Just
comparable to other things that we charge?
I agree.
And if that's the price, I don't know.
I agree.
'cause
I think
am
that's,
not
that's a
familiar with
lot
it.
to come out and say yay or nay.
Right.
That's a lot.
Well, this is not a final indication of, we don't have answers, so
Right.
we're not asking for a finalized opinion or a decision.
For the building permit as well, so that's
Well, there's reasons for this, and again, we need to have those reasons, so,
And,
Okay,
and,
so we'll pen till next month.
pending, yeah.
Please.
and for additional comment, I mean,
And
we'd like
have
to,
him to join us, right? Bill to join us, so we can get
Well,
answers
at
to
least have
questions.
if this is the only item on the agenda, you know,
Well, there's
a
two
written.
things. There's changing of, or are we not changing it? We're just enforcing it?
I think we're adding it.
Well, the administrative, what the idea is, and I understand part of this, is that they want to streamline the process so that it doesn't have to go to the planning commission. They want to be able to do it, if it goes to planning commission, it's going to be more money. This is less than what I think they originally, I think it was 200 or 250. So by having it a simple review process by the village manager and the building official, they could approve these smaller scale projects. And therefore, I'm not sure what the actual fee was otherwise, but it seems like this is about half. So if we think it's expensive,
so,
it was, through the full plan process, it's considerably more.
so to trustee Bryce's point, it would be nice to know what those fees are.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
if we are saving the residents money,
We need to
then,
let them know that.
then yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So we'll get those answers.
Okay.
So we're going to pen that till the next meeting? Okay, and then, next item is chicken ordinance discussion. This is item C under old business. So I know that Karen's come up with some ideas and some information. She's done some research, I know for a fact, because I've seen it. From some other communities, I think, what was it, the city of Fenton, for one?
Grand Blanc, or pardon me, Grand Rapids also. You know, basically what I did is I just used the City of Fenton's ordinance, you know, pretty much as a template. And then indicated that some additional covenants should be added from Grand Rapids and also from our original proposed ordinance that came through our village attorneys. It's, it really though, this, you know, and then I concluded after I went through here, but I mean, there would have to be a lot of modifications made to have this City of Fenton ordinance fit our ordinance. You know, you would have to change a number of things about it. I indicated what those things were. And I just indicated at the end that our ordinance, basically what they're doing is, you know, they're not saying, they're not having a chicken ordinance anymore. Basically what they're doing is they're having a running at large of livestock ordinance. And they put the allowing of chickens into that.
This is the city of Fenton?
Yeah, and it's not just the City of Fenton, it's also John indicated that same thing when he attended the Village of Ortonville Planning Commission meeting in September. And I've got copies of that. So that's how they're doing it. But, really, I indicated that, this needs to be gone over by an attorney, I think, when you start doing ordinances and you want them to,
Oh, I agree.
be correctly written.
Yeah.
So, but it's just some ideas.
There were some general items that were put forth. I have not seen our own attorney's opinion. He put forth a couple general ideas, but I've not seen it. Have you-
I hesitate, the city of Fenton is being sued by its citizens because of the ordinance, so I
They're
would
doing
not.
what?
The city's citizens are taking the city to court over their ordinance because they're only allowing 3 and they're going to court. So I wouldn't use Fenton at all for our guidelines.
Well, it's only because of the numbers, probably. Is that?
That's one of the many reasons, yeah. But
Well, it had a lot
theirs
of-
is recent and that's causing a lot of problems because it's going against right to farm. So I would use a community that's established their
It had a
ordinances.
lot of other good things in it, though, that the proposed ordinance that we had did not have. And one of them is that they also took into consideration that there's a number of subdivisions and condominium restrictions where, actually no chickens will be allowed. And we need to take that into consideration also when it comes to having that put into our ordinance.
Homeowners association type.
Yeah, homeowners association, some of it might be
bylaws.
tied to a deed. And so I thought that was really good.
But that's one of the reasons why they're being sued. It goes against what is the state law, that the state law is revamping.
Well, if you could,
But it's not
If you could-
existing right now, though, right?
Currently.
The right to farm.
It
So
stopped
Yeah,
years
if you
ago,
could-
they're
Going
currently
based on what's
in
current.
course
if you
again.
could bring me, written information, or bring us written information in regard to the fact that they're being sued over their chicken ordinance and why they're being why they're being sued, that would be very helpful.
But there are many.
Because I would like to see something, in writing.
But there are many communities out there that have a well-established ordinance, and I appreciate the fact that you went out. I didn't know, I was not aware of any litigation in Fenton,
Well,
but
I certainly wasn't either.
it seems to me that we ought to, I hate to use the word workshops, but I think, in this case, I think a workshop ought to be put together so
Yeah, I
that
do
we're
too.
all on the same page.
I thought Grand Rapids I
you know,
looked at too. I don't have that with me, but.
This is my question. Ordinances and et cetera is done by our planning commission. I'm not quite sure why we feel to take this on. That's why we have a planning commission, and that's what we should be requesting, a recommendation, and they research, and that is their job. That's why we have them, and they put together what all the other communities have or want or need, and then they bring us a recommendation, and then we go from there. Versus
they
us
did-
doing all of the work and then giving it to them, and then they're going to maybe change something or not agree with something
They
that is
did-
best.
They did do that back in May. And so, because I did bring that up to Rick McAvinci and to Larry Hayden. And basically what I told them is that there are more inputs that are going to be coming back their way. So these are inputs that will be going to the planning commission
They,
for just that reason.
Because our legal counsel, we did get an opinion, I remember,
Right.
as a result of all of that, yeah.
But one way to bring the two groups together is so that we're not playing tennis back and forth with what they come to us. I mean, it'd be nice that we know what they're working on, collaboration, workshop, so that, okay, together we come up with this ordinance, and then when it comes to us, it's not new, it's not, did you think about this, or did you think about that? Now we have something we're all agree on, and we're all in alignment, right?
Otherwise, it's just gonna take
But
a
we
long time to resolve.
don't do that with any other ordinance.
Why wouldn't we do this?
Sure we do.
this
You
is-
have a first and second reading, absolutely.
Right, they bring it to us, a recommended, and then we go from there and we add our input.
Absolutely.
And we're doing this backwards. This is the
Well,
first
they
time we're
want-
doing
they-
this backwards.
They want to know, though, at the planning commission, what our ideas are, because they want to know what the village council would find acceptable.
Well,
They're
right now
very
we don't-
concerned
I
about,
think we should
they're
talk to the
very
planning
concerned
commission
about
first.
that.
They're
Right
very
now-
upset that they have not been asked. More, 3 people on that board have approached me and said, why are we taking their job from them? If you read any of our paperwork and their paperwork, that is their job.
Well, right now, we don't
We're
have
micromanaging.
a
We're,
representative.
we're
on-
micromanaging because the community has asked us to, and because the existing ordinance was not being enforced. The existing ordinance says no chickens whatsoever, and it's not been enforced for several years. And now the community has come back and said, well, you know, we just discovered all this and that, and now now council has voted to enforce it. So you got a little bit of a conflict going here, so.
No, council did not vote to enforce it. Council
Oh,
voted to,
initially.
council voted to revamp the ordinance to allow chickens. Isn't that what council voted for, right?
Yeah.
So, so to me, it's not what we've done in the past to allow another group whip up an ordinance and then bring it to us for a first reading. I get that. But to me, it's about collaboration, working together so that when we do see that first writing, we're all on the same page.
So it's gonna go back,
You know?
you know, we can give them, and I think that the charges, that the planning commission will be given the opportunity, and we've gathered some input, so it's not like we're gonna do this every time. I think that was just the
agree. I agree.
uniqueness of the way that this came about,
Mhm.
that we've been kind of getting our fingers into it. So, with that said, are we agreement that we're going to put this back into the lap of the planning commission? Fair enough?
I think that's a good start.
Okay.
Well, we don't have our council rep right now for planning commission, right? Because that was Keith.
That's correct.
So, I don't know if we want to, rechange that, or if that's just automatically going to be Mark.
Maybe that would be Mark.
So, yeah, we'd have to check that out and see if that's something he wants to take
I'll
on.
talk to him about that
Okay.
when I talk to him next. So. Okay, have you captured that, Liz?
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
And the other thing, real quick, on the chickens, the Michigan Right to Farm Committee and the Urban and Rural Farm Council of Michigan both have reached out, and they're working with members of the village, gathering the information. They've requested the minutes and things like that. So just so you know, that's a good thing on both sides, but they're keeping an eye on it, just to obviously protect their vested interest. So whenever there's, different groups are going through their regulations, they automatically reach out and say, hey, what is yours? And they're comparing them to other regulations.
Who's that person? Who's that
The Michigan
contact?
Right to Farm Committee.
Who is the contact for that?
Well, there's multiple contacts. If you go on their website, you can look, or on their Facebook page.
Well, who's
you can look.
requesting the information, though?
The group of, these two groups have requested the information of
But they're
what's our
committees.
current information. Right.
They're
So,
legislative committees.
no, they're not. They're independent committees. One's a committee, one's a council. They're independent groups. They're
Okay,
working.
So I was under the presumption that there's a legislative action pending to rewrite these laws that'll take the control out of the local.
And that is the Urban and Rural Farm Council of Michigan specifically is working with them and attending all of their meetings with Farm Bureau. Farm Bureau is their
working
big
with-
head.
working-
With the state of Michigan with their new right to
So
farm.
who are these groups then? The ones you're just saying?
There are two groups that are working to keep their
Independ-
vested interest of, like I said, Farm Bureau's umbrella under the Urban and Rural
So
Farm
the
Council of Michigan.
independent groups are working outside of the state?
Correct.
This is not the state, anything to do with the state
No,
legislature?
absolutely not, no.
So-
They're a committee and they're not a state of Michigan. I'm just saying, they're two groups that are working to go where you can gather up information as to what the other states are doing, what the other, ordinances, villages, cities, and that's what they're doing, is
So
they
what is
combine
what
everything.
is the state legislature doing at this point?
Working on it. In February, it was approved. In October, they started lighting a fire to work on it because there's so many state court battles right now going on that they're tired of the court battles that they want to take it back under their umbrella and make it one again.
So just for clarification, the Michigan Right to Farm Act is huge, right? But in my interpretation of reading that Michigan Right to Farm Act, it was there to protect the farmer that was there originally prior to subdivisions putting in place or around that farm, where those subdivisions were suing the farmer for
Forcing them out.
Well, then, yeah.
and for owning chickens. So it protected the farmer that was there long before a subdivision was ever put in there. So that's the Michigan Right to Farm Act.
That's
Now,
part
in
of it,
addition
yes.
to that, so from that, I think the Michigan Right to Farm Act grew legs to where it is today, and they said, whoa, so it's gotten to be more than that. So that's where they're back, revamping the Michigan Right to Farm Act, and I really don't know what direction they're taking.
Well, currently they're working
So,
on
I
manure.
have no
That's what they're
idea.
working on.
yeah.
That's their first ordinance is manure.
Manure?
Manure. That's what the state's working on
Yeah.
first. Is their
Odor,
manure.
odor, yeah.
Odor.
Of cow farms and,
Yeah.
pig farms and things like that.
Yeah, well, pig farms are
Probably chicken
Yeah.
farms,
lots
too.
of odor. There's a lot of odor.
Well, we need to do something in a timely manner because at the, what was it, October 23rd Village Council meeting, John Lyons, he stated that the free-range ordinance, it currently states dogs only. And this is where we ran into these problems over, in the James Street area with the chickens that were running at large. And I think really what he was referring to is the animal control ordinance, 90.60 running at large. And so we need to do something in a very timely manner because otherwise we're going to have, free-ranging chickens again. And then we'll be getting complaints from people that live in the area again about those issues. So I do recommend doing something in a timely manner.
Well, we're going to get, anybody wants to put forth some data besides Karen? We can get it to Planning Commission right away.
What your requirements would be, because that's what some of the planning commissioners are looking for. They are looking for input from us only because they want to create an ordinance that will be something that will be acceptable to the village council.
I thought John said that he'd put something together based on what the feedback that he got from council, and he thought that he was moving in the right direction, and he drafted something. Has anybody received that?
No.
So I don't know what happened to that.
Well, who's their president, the planning commission? Is that Lee Pelsham?
Lee? mhm.
Maybe it would be nice if he's been a president for 40 or 60 years.
I don't know, he's not that old.
Well, maybe he could come and, and kind of
Well,
take
John did
the
an
lead on that, right?
Because John, I believe he did that, and he got feedback from our attorney, so.
Yeah, he
we
gave,
need to-
Right, we
the
had
attorney
that
provided a template.
His opinion or
A template,
whatever.
yeah. his
But
opinion.
then since then, and I wasn't at the last meeting, but the one before that, John had stated that or I think it was in an email, stated that he believed he knew where the council wanted to go, and he came up with what he thought was for lack of a better word, reasonable ordinance to go through, but I haven't seen that.
Okay, it never got back to us.
I have seen a
You-
copy of it. I think there needs to be a
We
little more
probably need to make a phone
detail.
call to John and ask him the status of that. where
It
when
was
it's at.
very, very simple. It was almost sophomoric, what I saw.
Yeah,
It was a-
Wasn't detailed.
Just
It wasn't-
outline.
Okay.
It wasn't
Yeah.
detailed
This is
enough.
a
Basic outline.
Okay, so you guys have
ordinance
seen
about
it.
chickens. Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, okay. All right.
One, initially.
Well,
Yeah.
that was,
Right?
but there was nothing to it if you look at other ordinances and I have, from other areas. They're pretty darn detailed.
But
Yeah,
that's
they
what he
are.
was giving to
Cover
the
all the-
planning commission to create the ordinance, was like, those were the basic outlines, right?
Oh.
And then he was
Yeah,
taking
I
it to
mean,
them.
yeah, it was very unique.
I don't know where he was taking it.
And
I just-
basically, when I did email some of the research that I've done, to President Wills, basically I just said, some of this information that I put in here that I've gotten from, Grand Rapids or Fenton could be incorporated, into the template that our village attorney ordinance, the template ordinance that the village attorney drew up, or vice versa, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
So, yeah,
I'm trying to be flexible.
yeah. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to I'm gonna get a hold of Planning Commission and talk to Mr. Palshan, and we'll gather that information and send it over to them in a nice packet. Fair enough? Fair enough. Okay, item 15, revised item 15, public comments on non-agenda items. Are there any comments? Non-agenda items?
So you guys talk about some cooperation between the different entities, and it's sort of an agenda item only, but with the street light that's going up at the end of Crescent Hill, did anyone consult with the association? Did anyone consult with some of the neighbors, and the light is going to be shining into the bedrooms of the people who are on Mill Street or on Crescent Hill? Did anybody ask Crescent Hill if maybe they would like to participate in putting in something that's a little more aesthetically pleasing moving into the sub? And you guys have put forth a fair amount of money tonight. Hopefully it doesn't come back and you've got unhappy citizens because nobody spoke with anybody.
Well, quite frankly, I think the intent was for safety more than it was for
Absolutely.
the reflection into the neighbor's bedroom windows.
And I can tell you that in the wee hours of the morning, you don't see kids sitting at the end of the street, absolutely. But there's also just having a conversation and working with the people who live in that area or working with the association. And maybe there would have been other alternatives.
There might be a way to put a shield on one part of so that there's no migration of the lighting into a certain location. So good point. We'll look into
Yeah, because I'm not in
it.
disagreement that there shouldn't be something there, because I've driven by and I don't see kids, and I'm looking for them at that time of the morning. And it is very dark there, and it has been very dark there for years. I'm just making the point that nobody really talked to anybody in
Well,
Crescent
I
Hill.
think our lights are similar. We want them all the same. You're not going to get a different light than anybody else. I have one that blares in my window, and that's how it is. I mean, it's right across the street.
It's cooperation and working with and speaking and
But if
just
we have all the rest
working
of
with-
them, that would continue to be the same. It wouldn't be any
We're at the front of
different.
the, but it's in our subdivision. So if it's in our subdivision,
It's on,
maybe.
it's
on
it's
Mill
on the right of
Street.
way. It's not in your subdivision. It's gonna be on the right of way.
Maybe the subdivision could have worked with the board in putting up something that was aesthetic. I'm just saying.
Well, maybe, Glennis, there may be when they put the pole up, and there may be some options that.
Yeah, we'll
we
look
could
into it.
that,
I hope so.
I think they may
If
make.
there's a problem, I knew that was going to be discussed. I didn't know there was going to be a decision made on this, so I probably could have made a few phone calls and gone to a few neighbors and received some information, so that there's not a problem down the road if there is an issue, and we just thwart that possible issue.
Liz, would you make a note who's your contact person at DTE?
Plan Sally.
Okay. So you could reach out and ask them and share her concerns?
Or a timer or something when the kids are at the bus stop.
Well, the buses go by right now and it's dark.
Right, I know.
Right.
But pickup times in the morning, it's dark.
But it's
And I
not
think
just for
that
that.
was
It's
the
for
name.
people walking their dogs. It's for every.
It's for everybody, not
It's
just
a
the
light
school
that's left
children.
on like every other light in our community.
Yeah.
You need it to be fully showing, to show every corner, just like every other light. I
But they
mean,
do
it's no
make-
different.
They do make some nice shrouding, I've seen.
You make baffles
that-
to control.
It's almost like a curtain. You're gonna get some light there, but it's not gonna hopefully go in your,
I just wanted it to go to the point
Right,
that,
right, maybe
you know,
where- yeah.
cooperating with people.
That's all.
Thank you.
I don't know, wasn't it Courtney? I don't know. She's at the top of the hill.
Okay, item 16, closed session. We need to go make a motion to go into closed session, please.
I make a motion to go into closed session to discuss interim manager.
Support?
Quick question. Was Beth supposed to talk about this at all? It's nowhere on the agenda.
What?
Is that what you?
It's just
Okay.
supplement.
Because I saw you and I thought, were we supposed to, and we didn't drop it. Okay.
That's the refund, right?
Yeah.
That's requesting the refund.
Okay.
you referring to?
Thank you.
The request for a refund. of,
Because I
an
saw
audit.
Beth and I saw everything else listed, but not that, I was a little concerned that we dropped it.
And who was our support for this motion? For the closed session?
Scornica.
No,
Oh,
I
No,
made
I'm
it.
sorry.
Who was
I don't know who
supporting?
supported
But
it.
Yes.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are now in the closed session. Cameras are off.
And continue.
Going
I'm wondering upward, I'm
To
losing
go
my
into open
mind.
session?
Yeah, open,
Okay, we got support.
closed.
Support.
Support.
Go ahead, Mark, spit it out, spit it out.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, get them
Thank
back in.
you.
All we're gonna do is wrap up.
I know, I figure if I get up, I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom. I've been drinking water and I'm like, man, I just love the
No,
bathroom.
when you were saying key, I thought you were saying key.
Oh,
I'm
no,
all
so,
set.
so that's why I'm saying about securing those, because
Don't you
otherwise
get to the point where you're not hungry, once it's
I
too
do.
late?
staff
I
could
do.
get into
See, I'm
person,
not even
that's all.
hungry
I'm not
anymore.
saying they
It's like,
would,
oh,
I'm
it's
just
too
saying we
late.
need to protect
Just
it.
go to bed.
No, I understand.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
I'm sure we're on, right? Okay. Oh, now you got that.
Okay, there being no other business to bring before the village council at this hour of the evening on November 27th,
Almost 20
we have a motion and support to adjourn the meeting, and therefore, all those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.